Welcome to Talkin' Jets. My name is Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. I am joined alongside my co-pilots. I've got Green Bean and Matt O'Leary. Boys, how you doing tonight? Green Bean, I'm going to throw it to you first.
I'm doing all right, man. 23 days left. What other ways can we possibly look at this from? You know, what other angles? I'm excited to see what creative stuff we come up with, man. I'm in.
I love it. Matt, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. April is finally here. It's our favorite month, boys. Let's do it.
Hell yeah. Boys and girls, if you're just hopping in the stream, hit that like button. For every 25 likes, we're going to get a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway at the end of the stream. And for anyone who's watching afterwards, leave a comment on this video and you'll be entered into next week's t-shirt giveaway. All right. Lots of fun stuff to get into. So let's do this. Yeah. We'll jump right off the bat. So we were talking a little bit in our, private chat amongst ourselves. Which wide receiver would you trade for? There has been a ton of rumors whipping around. There's A.J. Brown. There's DK Metcalf. There's,
Debo.
Cooks. Debo. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of guys that we could potentially talk about. So I want to hear your thoughts. Is there a player you particularly want or don't want, and how would you go about it? What's the value you think should be associated with that? I guess I'll go last. I want to see where you guys go with this. So Green Bean, I'll kick it to you first.
Yeah. Well, number one, I want to just remind everybody that a lot of this stuff came from nowhere. So just want to make sure we don't get upset when things don't happen. There's not a lot of rock solid sources going on here. We're just talking. Now, if I had to pick one of those guys, for me, I think I'm DK Metcalf. That's the guy I would want the most out of the group. I'd be very happy with like a 4th round pick, maybe 111 for Brandon Cooks. I think that would be fantastic. I would like, there was some smoke popping up about Terry McLaurin lately. I would like him too. I like A.J. Brown. His injuries freak me out just a little bit. Nothing crazy, but I think if I had to pick one, 25 years old, if we're going to pay somebody $20 million up, out of that group, I would be really happy with DK Metcalf. He's played every game he's in. He's got 30 touchdowns or something. He's an absolute animal, super strong. All the effort is there. It'd be weird to have 2 wide receivers that dye their hair blonde on the same team for the Jets. But other than that, that's the only bugaboo. Yeah, for me, I think it would be DK if I had my druthers.
Matt, what about you? How are you feeling about the wide receiver trade market, and is there someone you would prefer to trade for?
So my preference might be A.J. Brown, but I don't think the likelihood is there. I think Green Bean hit it with the one that's probably most likely at DK Metcalf, just because you could sell the whole rebuilding thing where Tennessee is very much still going for it. And as Green Bean said, he's young. He's been productive every year he's been in the league. He plays a ton. He doesn't miss time. He has the size and speed and a deep threat, which is something the Jets don't have. I will say, though, someone you mentioned, and I have a full video coming out on this tomorrow, so I won't go into crazy detail, but I do think some Jet fans are sleeping on Brandon Cooks because he's been extremely consistent throughout his career. He's been over 1,000. He's been over 1,000 yards in 6 of the last 7 seasons. He's still under 30 years old. And he went for, I think it was just over 1,000 with 6 touchdowns. And Tyrod Taylor and Davis Mills was his quarterback last year. So I think he could be extremely productive in this system. So don't sleep on Brandon Cooks.
Ooh, some good names thrown around. So I love the DK trade, specifically the one if we were to move down from 4 to 9 and then give up maybe a 2nd round pick in addition to it. So that way we wind up with 9 and 10. They wind up with an extra 2nd and the ability to select their quarterback. I think that's really valuable. personally, any trade down that nets us a wide receiver, like a DK trade down, like a Chase Claypool trade down, both those would be really attractive to me, or Deontay Johnson, whoever you want to, call it for the Steelers. Green Bee mentioned Terry McLaurin. I did see some comments about that. He might be my number one if he were to be made available. I really do like him a lot. And that's not to say I don't like, Metcalf or AJ Brown either. I would take any one of those guys for sure. Brandon Cooks is an interesting one because I know from what I was reading around January, he did not want to be traded. He's been traded so many times. He wants to be able to be released or stay in the same spot. So I would imagine if he's traded, he's going to dictate where he goes, which means we might wind up with another situation kind of like Tyreek Hill, where it's like, hey, the Jets are in on it, but he's never going to sign an extension, so we're never going to trade for him. His situation almost appears similar, but in a more favorable light than Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's contract was 3 years, $20 million a year, where Brandon Cooks, I believe, is 1 year, like 12 to 14, somewhere in that ballpark. So it really makes a lot of sense. I'm seeing my audio is low. Is my audio low for you guys, or is that just John with his low volume?
Not for me. It sounds good to me.
Same.
King Blaze says, Green Bean audio louder than Ryan and Matt. I think you guys are all...
I could lower mine, though. Hold on.
I mean, you sound fine in my ears. And I see the audio levels bouncing. It seems like it's all making sense.
Yeah.
So for me, when I'm looking at all the options, I like Brandon Cooks for maybe like Green Bean said, a fourth-round pick. If you could wind up getting that. If you could extend him, great. I think it's a good low-risk option that doesn't prevent you from, needing to go wide receiver early. Like that's a situation, just like the Amari Cooper situation, where now you can sit back at 35 and take who's there rather than forcing it at maybe 10 or possibly having to trade up. I like the idea of trading down, getting either DK or Chase Claypool, or trading, up in the draft as opposed to maybe some other options.
Yeah. Well, and that's the fun part about it. It's like, what version of the trade would you be most willing to do? I got to say, even though I liked the idea of getting Tyreek Hill, the idea of losing 35, 38, and 69, it hurts me in my heart. Like, it's the meat of the draft for me. I just don't love it. Like, I tend to think that if Joe Douglas was going to make that trade, he already has, at least for the most part, some trade backs lined up to recoup some more of that, like maybe 10, just for an example, 10 to the Steelers, and we get their second. Or I have to believe that he already has a good idea that he's going to be able to recoup some of that stuff, because I just can't imagine going from 10 all the way to 111 for our next pick. And it would kill day 2 of our amazing live stream that we're setting up for all 3 days of the draft, yo. So we're going to be here, but that would crush day 2. We'd have nothing to talk about, man. But yeah, I would like something like, if it was DK, if it was Terry McLaurin, whatever, if we could trade back from 4 to Seattle at 9 and get DK for that, that would be my preferred way of doing it. Like if Seattle or Washington, look, they just traded for Wentz, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to grab a quarterback up top, have Wentz there as the starter for a year and then Wentz as your backup kind of a thing, and, as insurance. So I could see if either one wanted a quarterback, that would be the preferred way I'd like to do it. Still retain our picks and move back a little bit.
Jeffrey, thank you so much for the super chat. We're going to get into our super chat questions after we go through our 3 topics of the day, and then we'll start hammering those out. So we'll get to it. We're not missing you over there, Jeffrey. All right, Matt, anything else to add for the wide receiver trade conversation?
No, not really. I think if I had to put money on it, my guess would be that it's coming in the draft. But I do think that Joe Douglas has shown that he's willing to look the veteran route if the price is right. So,
all right, next topic up I want to talk about is, if we were to trade down, which team would you prefer that trade down to be with? We've talked about Carolina, we've talked about Atlanta, we've talked about Seattle. The Steelers, the Saints just have a new trade potentially with picks 16 and 19. The Eagles no longer have 3 first-round picks. They're only sitting at 15 and 18 now. So I want to hear from you guys. Is there a preferred destination that you like as far as a trade down, what would you be possibly looking to get, and who would you possibly be looking to target in that trade down scenario? So Green Bean, I'm going to throw that one over to you first.
But wait, so what exact trade down? So if we were to trade down, which team would I want to do it with is like my preferred trade down? Okay.
Exactly. Is there a slot?
Yeah.
And then in that slot, and you can give a rough compensation. It doesn't have to be exact, but like what you think it might go for. And then is there a player that you'd probably want to target in that, pick threshold?
Yeah, well, again, I'll say that I would love to trade back and get one of these guys. Like one of these teams really wants to jump up and they're willing to lose the player for the right to do that, and get into a place where they can get the guy that they really want. I would like that, but I have to say the one that makes the most sense to me is, and we've been talking about it for a little while, is that 10 to 20 Steelers pick. Like, so if maybe just as an example, if Malik Willis slid through, makes it to 10, they don't feel good about him making it all the way to 20. They jump up there, give us pick 52, maybe next year's first or something like that. That's the kind of stuff I'd like to see. I'd love to trade, back and get the Saints, for example, getting the 2 firsts, giving us 3 firsts in the draft. I'd like to see something like that. It's a little further back than I'd hope to go, but we do still have a top 10 pick there. So something along those lines, I think.
Matt, what about you? Is there a preferred spot you would want to trade down with?
Green Bean mentioned both of them. I think the Steelers makes a ton of sense because they could potentially be looking to move up and draft Malik Willis. But I think the Saints is interesting because how they did it, now, the picks right after the top 10, but supposedly the rumor is that they are very interested in getting a quarterback or an offensive tackle. So to me, that screams you have to get up to pick 4. And now that you have 2 first rounders, I think the thought would then be, if you're the Jets, would you pick 4 and get, what'd you say was 15 and 16 or 15 and 19?
16 and 18, isn't it? Which one was it? Let me see.
Which?
Hold on. I'll tell you.
2 picks in the middle.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think it was 16 and 18. Yeah, 16 and 19. New Orleans.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think that would be interesting to move back, and I don't know exactly what the value is there, if it would be an even swap, but if I'm looking at teams who would be trying to get up, it seems like the teams that make the most sense are the Saints and the Steelers. I don't know. I think you're kind of just throwing darts after that.
Can you guys hear me? Is my audio clear? I just unplugged my mic and just tried it again.
No, you sounded better before to me.
It sounds worse now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It might be coming through my AirPods. Hold on. You guys can take hold of this question for right now.
Okay. So anything else, Green Bean, on just trading down? Okay, so let's play the game for a second and say it's the Saints. What's the target there then if you're picking at 16 and 19?
Yeah, well, that changes everything. So that gives us 10, 16, and 19. So I'm still going to try to see if one of my edge rushers breaks through to 10. So maybe a Karlaftis or a Jermaine Johnson, one of those guys, if they make it down, I'm going to grab them at 10. And then I'm looking for probably a wide receiver with one of 16 and 19. And then I might go linebacker. I might take an offensive lineman there with one of those. It opens it up quite a bit in my brain, really.
Yeah, I think what would make sense would then be getting your edge at 10 with the 2 guys you just listed off. I'm good with either of those there. I think wide receiver at 16 would also make sense because, you still have some pretty good choices. Garrett Wilson and Drake London probably gone, but maybe Traylon Burks is there, Chris Olave if you like him. And then at 19, the guy I was thinking was Nakobe Dean. I could just see him as a big fit on this defense.
Yeah, I really can. I mean, it's happening for me. Like I'm becoming, every year there are guys that, like, after all the film and all the stuff and all the talk, there are guys that just kind of solidify themselves as my favorite, and 𝐒𝐿 is really doing that for me. Now, is he a Robert Saleh fit? I don't think so. He's way bigger than what Saleh usually likes to grab, but I would love him. But I think Nakobe Dean to me seems like the Saleh fit. As far as his makeup, style of play, all that stuff, he can cover as well. So I think that he would be a good fit. But I would even be against like going. Let's say you grab a wide receiver, whoever it is, Drake London, Garrett Wilson at 16, and then you have like the old one, which is like Linderbaum sitting there at 19. Now that makes sense to me. Like, you know what I mean? Now stuff, it opens up enough. You've created enough breathing room to be able to have a comfort level with taking an extra swing and getting what could be looked at as like a bonus pick. It's like we got Linderbaum for free. We got our edge. We got Karlaftis. We got Garrett Wilson. And now we got Linderbaum or Nakobe Dean or Devin Lloyd, whoever it is that you want up there. But I think that would be epic, man, if we pulled something like that off. And real quick, I see somebody talking about, that if we traded 10 and 35, it's the same value as 16 and 19. But here's what I want to remember. I want everybody to remember, when there are trade ups in the first round, very rarely is the value dead on, because the team trying to get up is going to overpay to get the team to move back. Like, we're in the number 4 and number 10 spot. Those are coveted spots. The Saints want to come up. They're not going to require that we give them equal value. They're the ones that want to come up. So I would be surprised if we threw on 35 in that instance. It's possible, but I just want to make sure I say that, like, the team trying to get up, it's an overpay. More times than not, they're coming up for a quarterback, most likely. They're willing to overpay. And that's where Joe Douglas's position would be very, very strong in that instance. You just say, look, man, I'm great at 4. I'm great at 10. I don't need to slide back. You're the one who wants to come up. Give me 16 and 19. I'll jump back. Matter of fact, throw a 4th on there for me.
All right. Can you guys hear me now? Chat, let me know if I'm coming through clear. I'm not sure if my microphone is different for Green Bean and Matt. Green Bean and Matt, how do I sound?
It sounds like you did the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but it's still, it sounds good to me.
Okay. I screwed around with a few things. I can't adjust my, regular mic, so I had to flip some stuff around. Okay, so let me get my thoughts in on the trade down. So if I were to move down, I would be looking. So I don't think the 10th pick is very valuable. Not that it's, I think the trade for Wentz devalues the urgency to get up to number 10. And I think with Carolina having their GM came out and said, hey, sometimes you just got to pull the trigger and bite the bullet on number 6 for a quarterback when they were at the owners' meetings. So I think there's value in that, whether it's a smokescreen or not, in someone wanting to come up for a quarterback. I do think Atlanta and Seattle are squarely in play as well. So, I mean, maybe it's possible Willis falls to 10 and then it becomes a valuable pick, but I think most teams are going to want to try and get up to the number 4 pick. If that's the case, the Saints pick 16 and 19 equals 1,800 points or 1,850 points or so. Our number 4 pick is worth 1,800 points. So even without, having to sweeten the pot or anything, we can get those 2 first-round picks. I like that option a lot. With the Steelers, they got to come up from 20 to 4. I like a lot of players in that wheel space, and I do think you wind up getting their first-round pick next year, as well as a ton of other picks plus Claypool. So both those are valuable to me, because then you go your edge rusher at 10. Like, let's use the Saints as an example, because with the Steelers, you'd wind up getting your receiver in Claypool in that circumstance. At 16 with the Saints, I'm probably looking at someone, maybe Jameson Williams is there. Maybe another receiver you like is sitting there. I'm still fine with trading back into the first, even with the trade down with the Saints. So now you wind up with potentially 4 first-round picks. Like, I don't have any problem with trading into the back end of the first for a wide receiver. But at 16, you could go your wide receiver. At 19, you could go with, maybe it's Linderbaum. Maybe it's Zion Johnson. I do think that there's probably a lot of guys. I think there's a lot of smoke to the we want a center kind of thing. Like we were going after Jensen. We wanted to go after Bozeman. We had Zion Johnson taking snaps at center. We had the interviews with Linderbaum. So I think those are all sort of telltale signs that they want to move on from McGovern. And I do think that 20 spot could be interesting. Nakobe Dean, you guys brought that up. I love Nakobe Dean, and that's kind of the sweet spot for where I would feel comfortable starting to take a linebacker. But yeah, dude, I love all that sort of stuff. Anything on what I just rambled about here? I don't know if I hit on things you guys already said, but your thoughts?
Yeah, well, no, well, it all makes a bunch of sense. You know, again, like when you look at even value, like all right, so let's look at the Saints trade 16 and 18 for 10 and 35 that they're talking about in the chat. You have to ask yourself, is moving down 6 spots from 10 to 6, is that equal to you? And it might be for you to move up from 35 to 19. So which way, if you look at it as equal value, for me, the 10 to 6 is a larger drop than the gain from 35 to 19 is in this draft. Like I like a whole mess of guys in that 20 to 40 range. Like there's plenty of players that I'm really comfortable taking there, but there's only a handful of guys that I really look at that I think are like above the rest. And I'm telling you, I mean, 16 might even be a little bit low for that, in my opinion. So that's kind of how you have to look at it. It's like, okay, if we're given 10 and 35, because it's literally even for 16 and 19, is that worth it to you? Moving down 6 spots in the first just to move up from 35 to 19, which is 16. You know what I mean? So how do you look at that?
Yeah.
And for me, that wouldn't be enough motivation to get me to come out at 10.
Yeah,
for me.
I'm looking to go from 4 to 16 as opposed to 10. Like I don't think the trade value, like you're obviously not going to get as much for 10 as you would for 4, but if you don't trade out of 4, I think you are making the pick at 10. I don't think we're getting a team to jump up in front of us for potentially like the 3rd quarterback. Like it would not shock me if Kenny Pickett and Willis wind up going before our 10 pick. And at that point, we've just kind of wasted our opportunity. There's also this whole thing of, okay, I do expect the Jaguars and Lions to make their picks, but I think the Texans, the Jets, and the Giants are all open for business, depending on what teams are willing to give up. So we're not just competing, like other teams aren't just competing against teams that want quarterbacks. We're competing with the Texans and the Giants to play almost like a who's willing to take the lowest deal, but also have the quarterback available to them. Because like, why would a team want to trade with the Jets if the Texans are willing to take the same offer and you're able to jump up to 3? So I don't know. I think there's a few different pieces in play here.
Well, that's exactly right. And you don't know what they're willing to do or what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, the Texans could be looking to get what the Niners paid last year, for a jump up to 3. Don't forget, when people start talking about how unrealistic all this stuff, just last year in the last draft, we saw a trade up from 12 to 3, and we saw 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick to do that. So it's not unrealistic, man. So maybe if the Texans are holding out for 3 firsts, 2 more in addition to the one in this draft, what we're talking about could be significantly better. And it all depends on who takes who. I still think Detroit, if they stay at 2, and I've been saying it for a while, I think Malik Willis, when the tension of the draft as it gets closer starts to press in on these people, they're going to take their quarterback if they want him. They're going to say, you know what? I'm not playing games. I'm going to take the guy. And then once that happens, every other team that was hoping quarterbacks were going to drop, the Steelers, the Seahawks, they're all going to want to come up, man. They're going to panic, and we're sitting right there.
Yeah, 100%. Boys and girls, if you're just dropping in, we got 400 people in this stream. We only got 143 likes, so hit that like button. For every 25 likes, we'll pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway. All right. Let's move on to our 3rd topic before we jump into our super chat questions that have been coming in. Pre-draft visits. We've heard a bunch of pre-draft visits that are coming in for the New York Jets. You got Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Devontae Wyatt, Perrion Winfrey, Drake London, Treylon Burks, Jamison Williams, Trayvon Walker, Kayvon Thibodeau, Isaiah Likely, Ike Ekwonu, Aiden Hutchinson, and Sauce Gardner. So I want to hear from you guys. Give me 2 players that you are excited as far as a pre-draft visit goes. And is there someone that kind of stands out to you on this list, good or bad? Green Bean, I'll throw it to you first.
You know what I think? This is what I think. I've been secretly thinking it for a little while, and I just keep it quiet because that's what the Jets want me to do. I hear they want me to keep this quiet. So I think Chris Olave is the guy that they will take if they do take a wide receiver, and I liked seeing him come in. Notice it's been absolutely dead silent about Olave. We've heard Jameson Williams, we've heard Treylon Burks, we've heard Garrett Wilson. We've heard nothing about Chris Olave from the Jets. That to me makes me think that's their guy. There's smoke around everybody else. And Chris Olave is absolutely worthy of being in the conversation, and he's ominously not. So that was a guy I was really happy to see that they brought in. And I gotta say, I'm really happy that they brought, a lot of the edges, but like particularly Aiden Hutchinson, because I think he's going to slip. That's what I do, man. I think that it's a good opportunity. Well, there's a good potential that because of the three organizations in front of us, they're not known for being well run, well organized. They're going to mess it up, and Aiden Hutchinson's going to be sitting there for us at 4, and I think we're going to grab him. So I was happy to see him come in for a visit as well. They got to talk to him about that. He only wants to stand up in a 2-point stance bullshit. They got to make sure that's not real, and then they can take him.
Matt, what about you? How you feeling about this list here?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good list, and I liked Green Bean's point with Olave. I think that was interesting because he's very unexpected, considering where the Jets are in the first round. A lot of people think he's going to go a little bit later. I'm excited about KT because I think they have to do their, due diligence and make their own decision and not just go based off, whatever the media narrative is of the week. And the ones that I don't like, and not really, I guess, don't like, but my preference would not to be taking these kind of players that early is Wyatt and Winfrey. I know Perion Winfrey was really good at the Senior Bowl. I really just have no interest in going interior defensive line in the first 2 rounds. I think the earliest I would even consider it is the 3rd round. We've been down this road a million times. I don't have to go through the list of the amount of interior guys the Jets have drafted over the last 10, 15 years. So I just wish that they would put more of a focus on the edge and maybe some other positions before looping back to interior.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this list, I would say I am the one that makes me nervous. And it's not that I am upset that he's on the list because I think he has to be on the list, and that's Drake London, because we heard he's pushing his pro day back, and a lot of speculation is about that ankle. They're saying it's a hamstring, but I think there's a lot of speculation as far as, hey, that ankle's not ready to go. Now we're going to see him real close to the draft. Is that enough time to make your evaluation? I think that's a tough thing to kind of go with. As far as my 2 favorites, I really like Sauce Gardner. You guys know it. I'm a big Sauce fan, but I really like Jameson Williams. I think this is a situation where he is the best wide receiver in the class. He wound up tearing his ACL in a championship game, and we're already seeing him starting to work out. And apparently his ACL surgery was slightly different than how they've done them recently, or maybe they're starting to go this route now. They actually put a brace inside of the knee around that ACL. So I think that might help with the mental side of things as far as ACL tears go, because on top of the physical difficulties in coming back from an ACL tear, it's the mental aspect for a lot of players. They're afraid to cut on that knee to possibly re-injure it. So seeing Jameson Williams, watching him do his workouts, if the Jets trade back, I don't know where he goes, if it's 10 you have to take him at, or mid-teens. I think he goes in the first round. I don't know. I'm excited for all that. And then obviously, the edge rushers, as Matt alluded to, I think Thibodeau, you got to make a sound judgment on across the board. And I do think we'll see a lot of receivers and edge rushers as we get into these visits. As we hear more and more names, you get 30 of these pre-draft visits, and just to see where this deviation is from a position standpoint, I think is really interesting. Greenbean, any thoughts on like how many players at each position you kind of envision us targeting?
Well, I think, as far as the visits, I just think like there are clearly some positions that we want to make sure that we address in the first 4 picks that we have. So I think, wide receiver, edge, those are definitely two of the positions that you want to see them at least bring one each in that top four. I wouldn't even be surprised. I doubt it, but I wouldn't be blown away if they took two edge rushers in that batch, like in the top, in the two, the top four picks that we have. But like seeing guys like Sauce Gardner on there, I know that makes a lot of people happy as well. And I think it's smart, man. Like you want to bring the perceived best players in the draft into your building. You want to get them in your building and see who it is. You have a top four pick. Make sure that the person you bring in is the best possible talent, the best possible fit for your team. And if that's Sauce, if that's Aiden Hutchinson, if that's Thibodeau or whoever, then you want to have that time private in your facility and on your home turf to be able to kind of pick their brain and see exactly what it is that you like and don't like about them, man.
I love it. I love it all the way around. Guys, if you're just jumping into our stream, make sure you hit that like button. For every 25 likes we get on this video, we're going to pick a qualifier for our t-shirt giveaway. Green Bean, would you like to operate Nightbot and do like the exclamation point winner to do our qualifiers?
Well,
I don't know if you have
how
a piece
do
of
I
paper
do that?
handy. You just
want me
hit
to write
exclamation-
stuff?
Yeah, if you got your pad there, just because it's tough for me while I'm talking and scrambling some stuff around.
Pad.
Right now we would have 8 qualifiers. I haven't taken any qualifiers down on my list yet. But if you hit exclamation point and winner, Nightbot will pick a qualifier.
Ooh, look at that. Okay.
Yeah, kind of fun, right?
I happen to have a pad. Isn't that wacky?
Ooh, there you go. All right, let's jump into some of our super chats that we've gotten throughout the night. Jeffrey Lance, thank you so much, says Jameson Williams is worth the pick at 10, surest wide receiver. So that's something we were just kind of alluding to. I really like Jameson Williams. I'm a big fan of his. I think when you look at Godwin and you look at Gallup, teams are not afraid of the ACL like they once were. So if the Jets decide to pull the trigger on Williams, a guy that is lightning fast, I would have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. Jonathan W., thank you for the super chat, says, we don't need Cooks. We need a true number one wide receiver, not more number twos. I would still trade for Cooks at the right draft pick value. Like, I'm not giving up a second round pick like the Texans want, because if I'm taking Cooks, it's because I want him kind of as a stopgap for a receiver that I would like to take in the second round, where you don't have to force this guy to be ready. Matt, I heard you make a little comment.
Yeah, well,
any thoughts?
He's went over 1,000 yards pretty much every year he's been in the league. I mean, I love DK, but he's been under 1,000 yards in 2 of his 3 years in the league so far. So I think people's understanding of what a number one receiver is just off a little bit.
Yep, I agree. I agree with Matt, everybody.
Jets NY. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says, I agree with Matt. Cooks is an under-the-radar, legit top wide receiver. Numbers don't lie. Definitely okay trading a pick or two for him. So I guess, Matt, let me know what you think is fair value for Cooks. And then I want to get Green Bean's thoughts on this particular value as well.
So supposedly the Texans want a second rounder. And while I think I would be okay with giving up one singular second round pick, I don't think it would go for that. I think a third rounder is probably where you're at, and I would be more than comfortable giving up pick 69 for Brandon Cooks.
Green Bean, how much would you give up for Brandon Cooks? What do you think is a good value for him?
Well, you know what Brandon Cooks does for me? It makes me more comfortable drafting a guy like Jameson Williams if we wanted to do that. Like, I still don't like it. I think he's wide receiver 1 in this class. I still don't like it. We're the New York Jets. It doesn't work for us. I don't know when we're going to actually just swallow that pill and understand that we are not the Ravens. We are not the Steelers. When we take chances like that, they don't work. Every year, Jets fans forget all about it. But so me, it spooks me. So if we were going to eyeball Jameson Williams and grab Brandon Cooks, so we're kind of covered, I like that idea. And I'd be willing to I'd be shooting for pick 111. I would really try hard not to give up 69, but I might go there if maybe I'd give 69 and they throw in a 6th kind of a thing, something like that for Cooks. I'm definitely not giving a second round pick for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, one thing that was brought up yesterday on the call-in show, and that was about Jameson Williams, was if we're looking to run more 12 personnel and you have Michael Carter, you have Elijah Moore, you have Corey Davis, you have Braxton Berrios, how many people are honestly getting the ball, the target share anyway? Like, you kind of have the opportunity to let someone like Jameson Williams sit a little bit, because Corey Davis is on this team through this year, and then, his fate is a little bit up in the air after that, depending on how he performs this year. So there is sort of that built-in buffer already. It's just, I'm with you, Greenbean. I like the addition of a vet wide receiver that allows you to bring your rookie along a little bit slower. But it feels like it's getting to be a little cramped in that room.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man, that's the thing. Like, I'm going to be real on it. I've said it before, but I'll tell you real honestly, and I got my head chewed off on the Jets lounge the other day because Jets fans get real rigid in their thinking, and they wanted to kill me. I said, I'm not even going to be surprised if the Jets don't go wide receiver at 10. I mean, I see other talent there that might supersede wide receiver at 10. I know Matt and I have talked about this. I'm not as spooked to wait till the second round. If you look at the last 3 years, the guys that popped through to the second round, we're talking about, T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, Elijah Moore. I mean, the list goes on and on and on about the guys who are usually there. And it's like that every single year. There are fantastic Pickens, Pittman. I mean, it just goes on and on. Mm-hmm. So I'm comfortable waiting there, because you know what I would like to see the Jets do, and it's probably not going to happen. I would love to see us grab probably the best pass catcher in the whole draft at pick 35, and that's still Trey McBride. And I would love to see, just because he happens to be a tight end, I'd love to see 2 and 3 tight end sets all day long, and then mix in, like you said, we don't need all the wide receivers. We still got Corey Davis. We got Elijah Moore. We got Braxton Berrios. We have Denzel Mims. And you can still draft one, but draft him in the second round. And let's just roll like that, man, and have a nice, tough ball control offense filled with uber talented people. Just because Trey McBride's not a wide receiver, he's just as good as most of the wide receivers as far as his job, which is to receive the ball.
Yeah, Trey McBride, for me, I get the feeling he's not making it out of the first now. I think because we signed Uzomah from Cincinnati, I get the feeling he may wind up going 31 to the Bengals. We'll see how that kind of plays out. It's all kind of up there. Clay Wavy says, Ryan, chat is saying your audio is low. Just an FYI. Thank you, Clay. Hopefully it's a little bit better now.
Guys are.
That was a while ago. We got Mutt Viles dropping in with a super chat. Thanks. Mutt Viles says, sup, guys. Ryan, I would trade back with the Steelers and maybe draft what I showed you in my mock last stream. So let me pull up his mock draft real quick. I think it was it Twitter that you sent it? Yeah, it was Twitter he sent it to me on. So his trade up with the Steelers, or trade back with the Steelers. That's not it. Hold on. All right, so he has, I'm not exactly sure how he got all these, but Jameson Williams at 12, Karlaftis at 20, Linderbaum 35, Pickens 42, McCreary 46, Ojabo 69, Ferrone McKinley 73, Tyler Algier 85. I don't know. I don't think Linderbaum makes it to the second round. I think someone's going to pull the trigger on him at some point in the first round. But I do think that is a pretty solid draft all the way around. Isaac, thank you so much for upgrading your membership, brother. He upgraded to the frequent flyer tier. Members, drop some JETS in the chat for Isaac up in his membership. Much appreciated, brother. Jean-Jacques Saucy. Must love Sauce Gardner. Thank you. He's got 19 months of channel membership. He gets a super chat each month that he's a member here. So a free super chat for each month that he's here. If he only wants to use a stand-up stance, talking about Hutchinson, that looks like an expletive to me. F him. We don't want him. Yeah, I don't know what that's about. Hopefully he's not, locked into just a 2-point stance. I would think he's going to be a little bit all over the place there. Justin Rivera drops in with super chat, says, sup fellas, rank these 6 draft day needs. Wide receiver, edge, swing tackle, free safety, linebacker, rotational, interior defensive lineman. Thanks, guys. Matt, let's throw this one to you first.
Oh, okay. I would go edge, wide receiver, linebacker, safety, tackle, interior defensive line.
Yeah, if I'm looking at this, it's edge first, wide receiver second, probably linebacker. Linebacker and safety would be like kind of where I'm, more of a toss-up. I'm good either way there. I do think the value for safety is better in the second round than it is the third, and I think the value at linebacker in the third isn't necessarily that different from the second round. So maybe I'll say edge, wide receiver, safety, linebacker, just because of that. And then I'm with you on swing tackle and rotational interior defensive lineman. The tackle thing for me is mainly because we don't know what's going to happen with George Fant. We don't know the injury status of Mekhi Becton. And just having that backup tackle is so critically important. I think that's where I'd go with that route. And interior defensive line, I'm just don't particularly love right now from all our draft history. Greenby, what are your thoughts on these positions? How would you rank them?
Let's see. Edge, linebacker, free safety, wide receiver, swing tackle. I don't know. I'll go tackle, interior defensive line. I don't think either are all that hurting right now. I'd rather see a guy like a developmental, tackle that's, not necessarily focused on his versatility to keep him as a swing tackle for too long. I'd like to see them bring a 4th, 5th round tackle in there. That's somebody that can develop and is, the plan is for him to take over, That's optimal. That's what you want. You want like your mid to late round draft pick offensive lineman. They're back up for a year, 2 years, and they're ready to come on in. There's a smooth transition. So I'd like to see that. The defensive line I'm pretty good with. I mean, we got to keep adding big boys to it, but I don't see that as a need. I know people want to talk about Jordan Davis and Ferdarian Mathis and all that stuff, and I like these players, but I just don't see the need there. Again, we always want to add late round big bodies, but you can find run stuffers and all that in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. Not that we have 6th and 7th round picks, but yeah, I think it's edge, linebacker, free safety, wide receiver for me.
So what did you say? You said edge, linebacker, free safety, wide receiver? Was that the? So do you say linebacker because the position group is weaker, or because you think the linebackers in that like 10 through 20-ish range, if that's where we wind up being, are a better value, or maybe not better value, but are better, and you like the wide receivers in the second round? More like does that impact your ranking?
Yeah, it's both, because I think that there's a larger drop off from the first 2, maybe 3 linebackers to the next batch. So that's Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, maybe Chanel. I'm falling deeply in love with him right about now. But going from those guys to Christian Harris, Chad Muma, Asamoah, those guys, like, I see that as a nice significant drop off. When you're looking at the receivers, like, you can like Garrett Wilson, you can like Drake London, Treylon Burks, you can like Watson, you can like Dotson, they're all kind of bunched up, and one guy's probably a little better at this thing than the other, but I don't see the panic. I don't see it. I'm not saying that the Jets won't take a wide receiver at 10. I don't see that as a need to use a 1st round pick. I'm fine with doing it, but I think that the drop off is more significant at linebacker than it is at wide receiver from my eyes.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And I do think, while I would say wide receiver is our second biggest need, I'm right there with you. I would prefer to either trade back into the 1st for a wide receiver just in front of the Packers or Chiefs, because I think you can do a 2nd, and if it's a 2nd and 3rd, you're probably going high 20s. If it's a 2nd and a 4th, tail end of the 1st, whatever it is. I like that value more than receiver in the top 10 personally. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Guys, before we jump on to this next super chat, I do want to acknowledge, I should have brought it up at the beginning of the show, our good buddy Gitmo Bob. We want to send our prayers out to him. I guess he's got a little bit of some not so great news going on right now. So guys, keep Gitmo Bob in your thoughts. We love you here, and hopefully you get better soon.
Right on, man. It's been a great community. Everybody's reaching out. You guys are the best. Your football takes are really lacking, and you don't really know what you're talking about. But as far as the love from this community, man, I'm impressed. You guys are the best.
That was funny. Agree.
All right. Candle Jack drops in a super chat, says, seems like many just assume Moore can't be our number one. Yeah, right? Like, it feels like Moore's kind of getting shafted. He could have wound up being a first-round pick last year. He showed out well towards the end of last year. You know, I think a lot of us think he could be that, you know, I don't want to call him just a one, but I think when people refer to a one, they're referring to maybe a skill set that's different, like a jump ball type guy, or like a, you know, really takes the top off of a team. And I think they kind of envision Elijah Moore as working almost like a slot, even though he's been playing on the outside. So I do think Elijah Moore can absolutely be our number one wide receiver. I think it's entirely possible. My concern is kind of behind him, where I don't necessarily trust Corey Davis or think that he'll be here beyond this year. And Braxton Berrios kind of performs a different role than I'm looking at for wide receiver. So I guess for me, Moore is absolutely a solid starter. Whether he's one or two, I don't think it matters, but I do think we need an additional wide receiver in conjunction with him. Whether you call that a one or a two is entirely, you know, I guess up to the eye of the beholder. Matt, your thoughts on this thought process?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not that Moore can't be a number one. I just think you need more in that wide receiver room. I like Corey Davis. I think he should be better this year. But beyond that, you're one injury away from being in the spot you were the last 2 years, where in week 17, Zach Wilson's throwing to guys you never heard of. So I don't want to be in a situation like that. I just want more depth at the position and more high-end talent. And I like Braxton, but I think he's best suited as like a number 4 coming in, rotating in, and being your special teams guy. I think they need one more for their trio, because more often than not, I feel like it's going to either be the 12 personnel or 3 wide receivers on the field. So I feel like they need one more receiver, and I really like the guys at the top. So,
Green Bean, your thoughts on Moore and him possibly being a number one?
My concern with Moore is injury. You know, it's like that's the only concern I have with him, man. I think he's about as talented of a wide receiver as we've had in here in a long time. And I have no doubts about what he can accomplish talent-wise. He had 3 injuries last year and ended the season on IR, so that spooks me a little bit. And that's what I'm saying. Everybody with the Jameson Williams stuff, man. And Moore didn't have injuries in college. You know, like guys like Cam Clark, Becton, they weren't even injured in college. They come to the Jets and then they'd be, you know, so grabbing a guy that's injured spooks me. Like when we grab a wide receiver, as much as I like George Pickens, I wouldn't want to take George Pickens in the first or second round. Why? Because he's too many injuries, and the Jets, our history up to this point has shown us that we are not past. We are not over that hurdle. Hopefully we're working on it. I'm hoping, I'm rooting. But for me, it's still a little spooky. But I think his talent level is absolutely to have that Tyreek Hill-esque impact on a game. If he and Zach Wilson actually start to get that comfort level like Mahomes and Tyreek Hill have, and that comes with time and, you know, and Zach Wilson having time, I think Elijah Moore's ceiling is, I don't even think that we can see it. I mean, I think he can be as good as he wants to be. But just to talk about the wide receiver, like people are just, I mean, people are nuts. Like I'm not saying we don't need a wide receiver. What I'm saying is with everybody saying that we need to take a wide receiver in the first, I want you to take a few minutes, go back and look at the wide receivers that were taken in the first 10 picks of the second round for the past 3 to 5 years. Look at it the last 20 years. You're going to see what I'm talking about. every single year there is absolutely undeniable talent in the beginning of the second round at the wide receiver position. Now, if we choose to get one in the first, fantastic. I'm not against it. All I'm saying is open up your minds a little bit. There's more to it than we have to get one position at one pick or all's lost. It's not that. It's just not. Go ahead and take a look, everybody. You'll see the players I'm talking about every single year. So I can respect what anybody's saying they want a wide receiver at 10. That's fine. I don't feel that same stress. I'm totally comfortable waiting to 35 because I don't think that the guys up top are that much different than the guys that you'll get at 35. Now, if they take 8 wide receivers off the board, which I don't see happening, maybe you got a point, but I don't see that happening this year. So anyway, that's all I'm saying with the wide receiver thing. You guys gotta loosen up your straps a little bit out there.
So Matt, I know we got to let you go here in just a second. So this one's going to go towards you. Garrett Starnes drops in the super chat, says, just a reminder to everyone that no matter what happens, I think we can all agree that Rich Cimini will still and always be a stooge. Matt, any thoughts on this comment here?
Well, Rich Cimini tweeted out a link to the day job today. He tweeted out something about odds checker, so I can't hate him too much today. I got to give him some credit there. But I mean, I think you guys know how I feel about the beat. So yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think the Jets beat is one of the more talented beats across professional football. I do think we have a lot of content creators across the board in all different platforms, whether it be podcast or video or paper, anything like, or I guess online blogs, things of that nature. For me, where it comes in is when you wind up, bashing a guy for character things or bashing a dude without things being, blame the guy on the field, I guess. Don't just make up stories to make up stories or get people fired up, for sure. But Matt, I'm gonna, can I do it? Let me see if I can do it. Can I set it up right? Oh no. Oh, I can't do the chicken. I should have. God damn it. I gotta get the chicken up.
Come on.
I'm so bad at this.
I know. It's okay.
So bad.
I'm sorry. I hate to leave you guys, but we got to go back and do the other job. So appreciate you having me as always. It's a ton of fun.
He's got to go
Matt,
right
we'll
for
see you
Cimini.
All right. Let's get Green Bean back over here. Wham. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. All right. So now we got Adam S. Adam S. drops in with a super chat. Says, chances we trade down from 4 or 10 before the draft. I would be shocked if we did that. I think there's... Well, is there a situation, Green Bean, I guess, where you want to trade down prior to the draft? Maybe if they offer like a king's ransom. But other than that, totally. I'd like to sit at 4 and wait.
Well, look at this. Every year there's a team that's desperate. And like we say, like when guys say, oh, that'll never happen, it only takes one Mike Maccagnan out there who's willing to trade you 3 second-round picks to move up 3 spots and not even know who he's going to get. The 49ers traded 3 first-round picks and a third-round pick last year to get to number 3, and they didn't even know who they were going to get. Now, they might have had an idea that Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson were going to go, but they didn't. That was not official. They traded up to 3 for Trey Lance. They traded 3 first-round picks and a third for Trey Lance. So don't think that people can't do that. It happens every year. Teams get itchy fingers. They feel like they're on the hot seat. Whatever the motivation is, it happens every single year. So if we were going to trade before the draft, Ryan, what I think would have to happen is something similar to that. Something similar to what the Washington Redskins gave the Rams to move up for RG3. Or like I just said, the Niners last year. Like if somebody comes up and says, hey, we'll give you 3 firsts and a third, you slide back 10 spots, I would say, it's nice doing business with you. Thank you very much. So I would do that. But I think you're right. I think it's more than likely to happen on draft day, though.
Yeah, I think it's got to happen on draft day. And it's not so much because the Jets wouldn't do it. I think it's more so because of the quarterback class in general. The 2 examples or 3 examples that you brought up, the Darnold draft, you had Sam, Baker, Allen, Rosen, Lamar. last year's draft, you had Lawrence, Wilson, Lance, Mac Jones, and Fields. So there was a heavy class. And then even with the trade up to, the Colts had Luck. Then number 2, they trade up to get RG3. At least you knew those two guys. One of those two was going to be there in those picks.
Right.
If a team trades up to 4, if the Lions take Willis, there's no guarantee that these teams like Pickett or any of the other quarterbacks.
Right.
Like, I think that's more so the issue in trading down before the draft. Because look, if the Jets if they covet a player at 4, I think you sit and wait. If you are kind of open for business anyway, and you're like, hey, yeah, we'll take the Saints 16 and 19 picks this year, absolutely. Then yeah, if they offer that before the draft, move out. Who cares? I'm totally fine with that. But I don't think teams are going to want to offer picks until they know the player's actually there in that slot.
Well, like I said, that's what you'd think. But every year or so, somebody does it.
Well, see,
dude,
I think the
McCagnon traded up. He thought he was getting Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And when Baker went 1, my heart sank because I was like, oh no, the Giants are about to take Sam. And I'm like, oh no, we just screwed up so badly.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, what you're saying is completely logical. I'm with you. I wouldn't do that. All right. But I'm not. All I'm saying is what's realistic. Like, so we see it every year. So to have the idea that it can't happen is just, it's not true because it happens all the time. Teams do this. But I think my preferred way to do it would be to sit there. Like, let's say you covet a player, like you were saying. Let's say it's Aiden Hutchinson or Thibodeau. If either one of those guys are there, you want them. You wait and see if one of those two guys can slide back. Because if you take the trade beforehand, I'm going to tell you right now, it's a guarantee that one of them slide back to stick it in your ribs. That's the way that goes. That's Murphy's Law, man. You know what I mean? You gotta believe in Murphy's Law. So, but I think that if somebody comes and says, we'll give you 2 firsts this year and a first next year and a 3rd round pick, that's the kind of stuff, man. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. So you just have to ask yourself, is Aiden Hutchinson or Thibodeau worth more than 3 first-round picks and a 3rd? That's the question.
Michael DeBoy drops in with the super chat, says trade back from 4 for 16, 19, and a 2023 second. At 10, you go Jermaine Johnson. At 16, you go Jamison Williams. At 19, you go Dean or Lloyd. Brisker at 35. Pickens/Watson at 38. Dulich at 69. Ooh, man. I like that a lot. I would have done 4 back to 16 and 19 without getting the 2023 second-round pick. If you're telling me I'm getting a second-round pick in 2023, I'm all about that for sure. And I really like Jermaine Johnson a lot. I really like Jameson Williams a lot. I love Dean. Like, those are 3 picks right there that I really like. Pickens and Watson are interesting to me because I don't know if there's Pickens, I think, is going to be there in the second round. Watson, I'm not so sure about. I think there's going to be some teams that are really high on him, maybe higher than I would like to believe. When I'm looking at my rankings, I probably have him at 4 or 5 as far as my wide receiver rankings. Green Bean, what do you think about Michael's draft here?
Well, just to touch on Watson, it's another funny thing. People have fallen off of chairs since his combine. And when you look over his career, he's essentially a 3-4 catch a game guy. He's had some really big games, 100 yards and over. He's never scored more than 1 touchdown in a game. And he's playing teams like Towson and Albany and the East Tennessee. And, I think he's a very talented player, but, for me, he's definitely not a first round pick. I wouldn't even consider him in the first round. Second round depends on who else is there, but I would take quite a few guys before Watson. And so that's the interesting thing with me with this guy. Again, we look at the combine, a couple people put out some stats or something and everybody goes nuts and they get stuck there. I've watched everything I can see on this guy and I like him, but again, it's a little bit concerning. So trading back 4 to 16, 19 and a 2023 second, that's interesting. I'd have to see the value. I'll trust him on that. Jermaine Johnson at 10.
16 and 19 are the value for 4. The 2023 second is bonus. That's what that value is.
So they're even, Steven, for 4?
Yep. It's like a 50 or 75
that's right.
point swing in our favor. The 2023 second is bonus on top of that.
Okay, so good. So there you go. So he did that. Nice job, Michael. So he wants Jermaine Johnson, Jamison Williams, and Dean or Lloyd at 19. So wait, Jermaine 10, James 16, Dean Lloyd 19. Right. Yeah, I think that's good. Now that's a scenario where I could consider Jamison Williams because we created an extra first round pick to have that little bonus. It feels a little bit better to me, but again, I'm just not taking an injured wide receiver in the first. That's just not that's very difficult for me to justify.
Well, so then
Brisker, I love Brisker.
He rounds it over at pick 38
Yeah.
with Pickens and Watson. So he's double dipping receiver first and second round.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a bit much for me. That's a lot. That's 2 top 40 picks on wide receivers. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking using pick 35 on a wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look,
So I don't know. It's a bit much. I wouldn't hate it. Like, these are talented players, so I'm not going to hate something like that. There's lots of stuff I think is good.
So
but,
let's swap this. What would you swap in this, right? Like, if I'm looking at this and you're telling me I can get Pickens or Watson at 38, then maybe 16 winds up being like a Linderbaum or a Zion Johnson. Like that all of a sudden swings it for me in a different direction. Or if you want to go Jamison Williams at 16, if you think, Zion Johnson or a different interior offensive lineman is there with 35 or 38, I think you have to swap out one of the receivers. I think I'm with you on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, and I want to make clear again, it's like, for me, I'm much more open than most other Jets fans. Like, there's lots I'm going to be happy with this year. There's very few scenarios that I'm going to be disappointed positionally. Players are a different story, and up top, I think we're going to do a really good job this year. And I'm not going to fall to pieces if the Jets don't take a wide receiver or if they don't take a linebacker. It's like I'm going to see who's there. I'm probably going to end up agreeing with them. But again, taking 2 wide receivers, like you said before, we want to be a 12 personnel team. We just signed 2 tight ends in free agency. We're more than likely still going to even draft one. We have 𝐒𝐿 on the roster, who's developing. And then it's like you're going to have 7 wide receivers on that. You're going to have to start cutting people. Like, how many wide receivers do people think we keep? I mean, it's usually 5 or 6. Like 6 is, you can keep 7, but it's, then you're losing a cornerback, so, you got to think like that. It's like, all right, well, we want to be a 12 personnel, which means 2 wide receivers on the field. That's it. 2 wide receivers. So are we sitting, Jamison Williams, Watson, Berrios, and all these guys are just sitting on our bench? I don't know. You know what I mean? It doesn't jive to me. Seems like a bit much. Good players.
Ricky Cooch drops in the super chat. Thanks, Ricky. He says, if we end up with 10, 16, and 19, I like Wilson at 10, Karlaftis at 16, and then Zion Johnson at 19. If we end up needing another tackle, move Elijah Vera Tucker to tackle. So let's see. You get your receiver, you get your edge rusher, and you get your center/guard. Probably center. I think they would wind up trading McGovern at that point. Yeah, look, I'm fine with this situation. I would lean towards edge at 10 because, I mean, I think you're going to have your pick of probably 2 or 3 of the top edge rushers there, and I would rather get that value and then whatever receiver you want at 16. But yeah, like Greenby and I were just saying, edge, interior offensive line, wide receiver, those are all big-time needs for the New York Jets. Greenby, what do you think about Ricky's draft right here with Garrett Wilson at 10, Karlaftis 16, Zion Johnson 19, and if we needed another tackle, we slide Elijah Vera Tucker, who played left tackle at USC, over to one of the tackle positions?
Yeah, well, I don't want to see Vera Tucker at tackle, but let's say I want to make this point too. Like if we do take a wide receiver up top, I'm hoping it's Garrett Wilson. It's either Olave or Garrett Wilson for me. Like, I really like Olave too. And it's a funny thing. Like, I just never hear Jets fans talk about Olave. I think that's by design, Ryan. I really do. I almost feel guilty talking about it because I don't want to blow it up,
I think the consensus is like you'd probably have Drake London, Garrett Wilson. If Williams was healthy, he's probably ahead of Olave, and then Treylon Burks is kind of like that other player. So you could say maybe 4 people are sort of the consensus ahead of Olave. And I don't know if that's, factual.
Why are they
or if
ahead
it's
of
just
Olave?
perceived. Oh, well, that's just it, right?
Right.
Like, I think Treylon Burks is a mid-20, kind of pick. I think Jameson Williams should be up high. I think Garrett Wilson should be up high. Drake London, with the injury concern, I don't want to say I'm taking him completely off my board, but I'm not super high on him the way I would have been if his pro day went as scheduled and we got to see him run. I think there is concern with that ankle right now.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm telling you, that's concerning for me, man. It's just like, I know we want to we're the Jets. Can we please just remember where it is that we start? We are not the Steelers. Things don't bounce the right way. Again, I'm hoping it goes that way for us. I believe what we're doing is we're changing it systemically. Like, we're changing everything, and I love it. But drafting guys that, are injured, can't do their pro day, or, miss the end of the season, I don't know. It just spooks me. But like, look, Olave had 65 catches, 936 yards, and 13 touchdowns last year. Where's the love? And then the year before he had 50 catches. You know what I mean? 2 years with 50. It's a stud.
Garrett Wilson have 12? Is that what I think it was 13 for Olave? I think it was 12 for Wilson. I'm pretty sure. I just did a video on it.
I thought it was 10, but let me
maybe it's 10. I thought it was double digits for sure. And I'm mixing up. You know what? I'm probably mixing up DK's 12 touchdowns to Garrett Wilson's, but I could be wrong. All right.
No, you're right. 12. Yeah, 12.
Yeah, it's a lot, dude. That's a whole lot.
Yeah.
My I don't know. I like Olave. I wouldn't be upset with the pick.
Oh, he's so good, dude.
I like a lot of different guys. Chris Lavilla drops in with super chat. Says, "Do you guys think our offensive rank this season can be top 15?" I hope so. I don't know where we wound up ranking last year. I'd imagine somewhere in the mid to late 20s because of Zach Wilson's struggles. I think we can get close to it. I think if we are between 15 and 20 is probably where I would expect a second-year quarterback to be. If Zach Wilson hits his potential, we would be absolutely inside of the top 15. I do think our offensive line should be a top 10 unit. And I would say offense is really going to dictate based on how Wilson performs. So, yes, I think we can be top 15. Do I think it's likely? It's to be seen, I think. I think we have all the talent in the world that could do it. I think we have the skill position players to be in that top 15. It's just, does Zach make that next step? Green Bean, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's it, man. It's all about our little cute honey button behind center. I mean, he's good looking. He smiles. He gets the ladies all nuts. And I think it's all about if he can actually play football at the NFL level. We saw progress. We saw him settling down. We saw it. So maybe not to what people wanted to see. It's a fair point, but you cannot deny that there was progress. So I liked it. And I'll tell you what, LaFleur showed me that he has a nice creative offensive mind. So he makes me feel a little bit more confident. We got to remember, man, these guys are just getting their feet on the ground as far as being in the positions that they're in, all of them. So I think that if, the key is protecting Zach Wilson. That's number one. Number two, he's got to have guys that aren't going to drop the ball when he gets it to him. If he's protected and can be calm back there, and he can get it to guys, which I know he can if he's calm, they don't drop it again. I'm going to bring up the wackiest stat ever. He had a 70% completion percentage if the passes that hit his receiver's hands and were dropped were not dropped. So and he has 3 less interceptions. So it's a whole different thing, so that's what we need. I love that we brought in 2 sure-handed tight ends. All I want is sure-handed guys that know how to get open, and that's it. I don't need 80-yard bombs. Sure, they're fun. I'm not against them, but all I want is nice ball control, 8 to 15 yards a clip, and just keep Zach in a nice rhythm. And I think that's what I see us doing. So I feel real good. I'm very hopeful about our offense. Top 15. You know what, Chris? Yes. Top 15, baby.
So to branch off that as well, Zach Wilson had some sort of insane stat, and I wish I knew what it was off the top of my head, but it was something like 7 plays ended up on the 1 yard line. Like receivers got tackled on the 1 yard line, and it's like those are all like almost touchdowns. Like that, like it's like really weird to have that amount of plays end on the 1 yard line. It was a lot.
Right.
I want to say it was 5 or 7 plays ended on the 1 yard line. So to your point, 70% completion percentage, you know, 3 less interceptions, and you could have had 5 or 7 more touchdowns on top of it. So yeah, dude, I'm right there with you. I think we could absolutely be top 15. Dick Delgado drops in with the super chat, says, I can't wait for the draft. The fans are starting to chant, we want sauce. Oh, dude, I can't wait for the draft. O'Leary had a great tweet today at the Jets Twitter, because the Jets Twitter released their MetLife draft party. The first time they're having that in probably since 2019, right? They haven't done it the last 2 years. And it's a great thing to go to. It's a lot of fun. You get to stand on the field. I know in the past few years, you actually haven't even been able to go on the field because they had, was it the motocross or like monster truck rally, something like that, where the grass was all, you know, dirt or something along those lines. But O'Leary had a great tweet of us watching the Elijah Vera Tucker pick, and you guys got to see it live with us and see all the reactions. So I think we are going to have the biggest draft party here on the Talkin' Jets panel, and I'm really looking forward to it. We got a whole laundry list of guests coming on for days 2 and 3.
Yeah. It's going to be epic, dude. It's going to be the best. Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, what we have to remember, like, we're going to be here all 3 days for the entire draft. We'll be right here. When you got to go outside and rake the leaves for a little bit, you come back, we're going to be sitting right here. If you need a break because they picked a guy that you didn't think they could and you zeroed in on one guy and now your heart's broken and you got to go outside and cry for a little while, come back. We're going to be right here. That's the thing, man. This is solid. We are going to be sitting here for days with you guys, and hopefully we get to see a successful draft. That's what we all want here. Be fun.
Absolutely. Wild Billy Boy drops in with super chat. He says, I know we all want to see us in the hunt, but I hope we don't lose faith in Joe Douglas because he's building a franchise to be successful over a decade. Yes, and I do think being in the hunt in December is an important part of that team building experience. Like this is now his 3rd draft. He's got pretty much all this salary cap space with his own players. The only player that's kind of held over from that is CJ Mosley. So aside from that $17 million, it's all on Joe Douglas. The offensive line has his fingerprints all over it. This team is literally all Joe Douglas's now. So I do want to see in the hunt for sure, but a lot of that hinges on Zach Wilson. And one of those things that I don't want to see fans lose, faith on, if we wind up having another draft like last year's draft, and it's an A+ draft, with the exception of finding out what is Zach Wilson at number 2, then even if Zach Wilson flames out, if we wind up having successful players outside of that and Joe Douglas is killing every trade and like all this other stuff, I'm not opposed to Douglas making another quarterback selection. Like, I think he is the best GM that we have had in a very long time. And I really hope that the Jet fans can remain patient on this, because we are going to see the fruits of Joe Douglas's hard work. Our scouting department is stronger than we've ever had it before. Our coaching staff, I think, is a coaching staff that players want to play for. So if we start seeing planes flying around practice facilities, I'm going to start losing my cool.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'll tell you what, man. It's a funny thing. Like, you just think about this. There is a large contingent of our fan base that is saying that Joe Douglas is on the hot seat when he has spent 2 years acquiring assets. How could he possibly be on the hot seat before he uses the assets? How? Does that make any sense in any way, shape, or form? So, dude, when you look back at our history and look, like we were on one of my streams in the past week or two, we were going over all the Jets draft picks that never did anything. Like years that we took 3 wide receivers and one of them we took 3 wide receivers in a draft. One played an NFL game. Like, that's who we are. Our organization has been so bad that they don't even, truth be told, they don't even deserve a fan base like this. Like we are. That's how bad we've been over the years. When you're around long enough and you look at this and you've been paying attention, the Walt Michaels years, the Joe Walton years, the Bruce Coslett, all that stuff, the rich coat type. You see it. We were slapdick. We were completely lost. That's when you see those comments from Mel Kiper, like the Jets just don't know what the draft is all about. Like those types of comments. That's who we are. We actually have an organization that knows what they're doing. Now, are they going to be perfect? Of course not. Nobody's perfect. No organization hits on every pick, gets everything right. But when you look at how they're doing it, it's the best we've ever seen here. Now, the coaching, we don't know how good our coaches are yet, and I'm not sold entirely on Saleh. I like him. I like LaFleur. I'm not sold yet, and we don't know how our coaches are going to be. But as far as what Joe Douglas is doing, I think it's without question. He's the best GM that we've had here, at least since Dick Steinberg.
Landon Hahn, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, Sauce at 4, Karlaftis at 10. Use some combo of 35, 38, 69 to move into the first to get one of Jameson Williams or Chris Olave. Jets covet skilled route runners and speed in this offense. So that's a good point. Jameson Williams and Chris Olave probably are the two most similar receivers of this class at the very top end. If I'm really looking at it, I think. Maybe you loop in Garrett Wilson into that. Greenby, what are your thoughts on this mock here from Mr. Landon?
Sauce at 4, Karlaftis at 10. Use some combo of 35, 38, 69 to move in the first. Yeah, I don't like that either. Get Williams, Olave. Jets covet skill route runners and speed in this offense. Yeah, I'm not all that into trading back up in the first. I don't want to lose the assets we have. Like, again, we have a general manager that knows how to actually get players in the 4th and 5th round, and I would hate to see us lose pick 69, pick 111 to move up into the first when I already know great players are going to be sitting there at 35. So I'm not all that into it. So, again, I don't think we need a cornerback in this draft. If we grab Sauce because they think he's the best player on the board, I'm totally fine with it. I'd love to have Sauce Gardner, but I don't think that we need to have 3 drafts in a row where we use draft picks on cornerbacks, and we just gave a guy $11 million a year to come in here. So I think we've put resources in the cornerback. Let's address the rest of the team and see how these guys can do in year 2 in the system, and then we'll know a lot about those guys. But if that's what we did, Sauce and Karlaftis, I'm not going to be unhappy with the players. Again, though, I don't want to see us like 35 and 69, like lose our 3rd round pick to trade up 10 spots or 5 spots. That would irk me a smidgen.
So I'm cool with trading back into the first. And when I'm looking at the tail end of the first, you're looking at Green Bay at 22, could take a receiver there. Arizona just lost Kirk. I don't know if they added AJ Green back. I know he was a free agent, so maybe they could go receiver. Then you got Dallas, Buffalo, Tennessee, and then it's Tampa Bay, who has Godwin on an ACL, but I don't think they're going receiver. Green Bay at 28, Kansas City 29, Kansas City 30. Those 3 picks, like if I'm looking to trade up, I'm looking to just jump in front of 28, 29, 30 personally, because I do think if the Packers don't go receiver at 22, then I definitely think they're going receiver at 28. And I think Kansas City with one of those picks will go receiver. So I think 2 are coming off the board at the tail end of the first. And if you want to jump back in to get that valuable 5th-year contract, because we've seen wide receiver contracts just explode. How much would it suck to have a DK Metcalf situation where, like, you have him, but you took him in the 2nd round, so now you got to wind up trading him or signing him after just 4 years instead of after 5 years. I mean, it's a good problem to have, don't get me wrong, but I think with the Jets sitting so close to the top of the 2nd round where it doesn't take you that much to get back up just in front of those 2 teams, where you were able to have at least your choice of 2 additional wide receivers, I think, at that point. I'm okay with doing it given the plethora of picks we have.
Yeah, no, believe me, I get it. I understand, and I know exactly what you're saying. And here's the thing. If they are, like, let's say there's a guy similar to how Elijah Moore slid, last year. Like, they're sitting there looking at a wide receiver, and they're right before Kansas City and Green Bay, and they're like, we want this guy. He's never going to make it through the gauntlet. And you just, hey, you want to go up and grab your guy? Then I'd rather see them be aggressive than not if they feel like the drop-off is that significant. At the same time, even if they take wide receivers, I don't know, man. When I look at the wide receiver group, I see a lot of guys that I have right in the same pocket. Like, I don't know. I like some more than others, of course, but I don't know. I'm not as spooked, you know what I mean, with that sort of stuff. But I get what you're saying, but I'd rather keep my picks.
Yeah. I gotcha.
No, I get it.
We got a few super chats that we got to get to, so we are a little backlogged, but we will get to all of them. Brett, thank you so much for the super chat, brother. He says, NFL talk, AFC West, rank the teams, which is overrated. If I'm ranking them, I'm going to say Chargers, Chiefs. You could kind of flip either one. I like the Chargers a little bit more this year because of who they retained and who the Chiefs lost. So I'm going to say Chargers, Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos in that order. Green Bean, who do you like in the NFC or AFC West? Sorry.
Yeah, I think Denver is kind of the X factor, right? Like they got Russell Wilson out there, and that's going to be interesting, man. It's really going to be interesting to see. Like, we don't know what Russell Wilson is. You know, he's always had Pete Carroll, and you know, we don't know. We don't know if it's the organization. I mean, obviously, we know Russell Wilson is uber talented, but we don't know how that's going to mesh down there in Denver and everything. So I'm really curious. I'm not one to just because we put this name with that place. I don't necessarily think that always works. But they're the one that's most interesting. I think the Chiefs, they lost Tyreek Hill. But look, they lost a whole bunch of offensive linemen the year before. They fixed it in 10 minutes, and they were just as lethal as before. I mean, you know, so I don't know. I'm real curious to see how Tyreek Hill does without Mahomes and Reed and all those guys. Again, obviously talented, but I don't know. I think I'm going to be real curious to see what happens out there. I don't think I like Denver as much as a lot of other people do.
Yeah, I have Denver as my fourth team. I think the Raiders got better. I like the Chiefs a lot because of Mahomes, and I really like the Chargers. The Assassin drops in with super chat. Thank you, brother. Says trade 4 for 16 and 19. At number 10, take Karlaftis. 16, Devin Lloyd. 19, Treylon Burks. Trade 35 and 69 for the Titans' 26th pick, and go Kaiir Elam, most versatile cornerback in the class. And at 38, you go Brisker. So we solve edge rusher, linebacker, receiver, cornerback, and safety all before pick 38. Yep, sign me up. I don't know if I'd go in that order or those particular players, but I look, I wouldn't be upset with that. And I do think the Titans are kind of the team to watch because of the LaFleur connection with Mike LaFleur's brother, Matt LaFleur, being the former offensive coordinator for the Titans. Maybe there's some type of relationship there or some type of open dialogue. So yeah, I like that. Greenbean, what do you think about the Assassins mock draft here?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think Karlaftis, Devin Lloyd, Treylon Burks, that's a good first round. Again, we made the room to take a wide receiver up there in the first, and then you trade 35 and 69 for it. See, I hate it. I really do. I want my third round pick.
Yeah.
I want it. Yeah.
We want it just because last year we traded away 2 third-round picks to get Elijah Vera Tucker, and our day 2 stream, while it was so exciting because we got Elijah Moore, was the weakest of the 3 days because we only had the 1 pick, and it was the second pick of the first round or the second round. Right.
We were convinced that the Jets were going to trade back into the third. We were like, there's no way he's going to leave the third round. So every pick, we just waited for what seemed like days. Come on. And it never happened. I mean, like, look, guys always say, well, look at the Jets' third round picks in years past. They're not that valuable. I don't look at things like that. I'm not going to look at McCagnon and 𝐒𝐿𝐿𝐿 and all that shit, or Adam Gase. And like every year is its own year. Okay. I like this draft. I really like the 2nd to the 4th round in this draft. That's what I like. Now, of course, I like first round players, but I really don't want to lose that middle of the of the pack, because I think that's where we're going to get our next starting offensive line, our next starting linebacker, our next starting wide receiver or safety. Like, that's where I see those guys coming from, because there are so many players that are they just need a year, Ryan. You know what I mean? They need a year. They need to be in the system. They need some development, and they're going to be studs. And I don't want to lose that opportunity because we can't keep our frigging dick in our pants. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I see it. It's just like, hold your fucking horses, man. Let's just sit here and let it come to you. It's going to bring you gifts. You're going to be so happy with 3 picks instead of 1.
Mumtaz.
That's my take.
I gotcha. Mumtaz drops in a super chat. He says, forget Hutchinson. I want Malik Willis at 4, so someone comes up for him. First round bust rate is high. More chances you have, the more chances you get 5 starters. I like the idea of moving down from 4. I really do. As much as I want Sauce or I want an edge rusher, I do think there's going to be a good edge rusher there at 10. I mean, unless you lose the top 3 edge rushers, picks 1, 2, 3, then yeah, I'm taking edge rusher at 4, and then we're just going to figure out how it goes the rest of the way. But yeah, look, I kind of want Willis there at 4, so we move back because, like Mumtaz says, I like taking more shots. I really do. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Get Hutch. I want Malik Willis at 4. Yeah, what are you talking about, Mumtaz? What are you talking, man? You know,
because he wants to trade out. Man. Not that he wants.
Yeah, but then don't take him.
No, you're not taking him. He wants Willis at 4, so someone gives up picks to get him.
Oh, yeah, I'm with Mumtaz. I always liked Mumtaz. Did I tell you that? Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, dude. I look, you got to get a premium edge rusher in this draft. That, to me, is goal 1. You got to do it. We have found a reason not to draft a first-round edge rusher for 20 years straight. We tried with Quentin Coples. He was known as a lazy slob. Rex Ryan thought he could motivate him, so we took him anyway, even though everybody said, take him off your board. You shouldn't take Quentin Coples. We took him anyway. Other than that, we haven't taken an edge rusher since 2000, dude. 22 years. This is a strong edge class. Stay at 4. Get your damn edge rusher, unless somebody's going to blow your doors off and give you 3 firsts or something like that. If you're going to do that, and then you still think you can get Karlaftis or JJ, fantastic. Then you can do that. Other than that, just get your damn edge rusher. Stay put. Grab the best guy. If it's Tibbs, grab him. If it's Hutch, grab him. If it's JJ, grab him. Bring him in and call it a day.
We got Wild Billy Boy coming in with a super chat. We got Michael Du Bois on deck with JB Jets in the hole. All right. Wild Billy Boy, thank you for super chat, says, we need to get a wide receiver in the first, or we need to trade for a proven wide receiver, all of which were picked in the second round. LOL. That's what we're talking about. Green Bay and I have said there is a lot of value to be had with wide receiver at the top end of the second. You look at some of the best receivers around the league. DK, second round pick. Deebo Samuel, second round pick. Michael Thomas, second round pick. Like, these guys were taken in the second round. Really, really good talent. Gonna be there.
Ryan, 4 of the guys that we want to trade our number 10 pick for, second and third round picks. Not even that long ago. That's how nuts Jets fans are.
Who's the other guy?
Mclaren was a third round pick. Well, DK's a second.
That's the other one.
DK was the last pick in the second. Deebo Samuel was, I think he was like the 3rd pick in the second, something like that. AJ Brown, same kind of thing. Who was the other guy? Deebo, AJ, McLaurin, DK.
McLaurin.
Yeah. So all of those guys are we want to give away a first top 10 pick for guys that were taken in the second and third round a year ago. Why don't we think we can get a second round receiver? Why? Where's the logic? Please, someone talk to me.
We just got Elijah Moore in the second. Like, come on. We know where it can do. I know there's some fear. You got Stephen Hill. You got Mims. And I understand, Devin Smith. I get it. But there's definitely good wide receivers to be had in the second. Green Bean, I completely agree with you.
No, but everybody's nuts.
Yeah. Michael Du Bois drops in with a super chat. Says, okay, Green Bean, fine. Same Saints trade scenario. Jermaine Johnson, 10. Trent McDuffie, elite zone corner at 16. Chris Olave 19, Daxton Hill 35, Muma 38, Bonito 69. So let's see. We trade down. We get our edge rusher, a cornerback, our wide receiver, a safety, and a linebacker. Yeah, what's Bonito? Is Bonito?
He's an edge, and he's limited, but I like what he's doing there. He needs some work. Yeah.
If there is a double dip, edge is the position I prefer it to be.
Totally. That's what I think. Look at these guys saying Mims ruined them for second round receivers. Dude, you don't even know what Mims is. The guy had food poisoning and COVID last year. He's 23 years old. Stop reading Rich Cimini. Please, just stop. We have no idea. Salah called him Mimsy this week. Joe Douglas
He's got a nickname. That's a term of endearment. You don't come
Mimsy,
up with pet names with guys you don't like. Come on.
No, we give up so quickly here. We want to fire Joe Douglas. Becton's a loser. He's a bust. Mims, we got to get rid of him. Why? We're talking about 22 and 23-year-old kids that have the production to back it up. It's not like they're not Stephen Hill who had 24 catches in college. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about guys that have like elite production, man. And we don't know what Mims is. Cut it out. Everybody cut it out. Even if he was a bust, it still doesn't mean we can't get a wide receiver in the second.
JB Jets drops in with a super chat, says, show theme for April 26th. How your thoughts have changed from January till the eve of the draft. Example, from Senior Bowl to Combine to free agency to pro days, player visits. Probably some interesting surprises in there. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let's go through that thought process right now. We'll do it with O'Leary on the 26th. Hopefully I remember it by then. But this is a good thought process. And something we're going to do during the draft, too, is something we did 2 years ago. We didn't do it last year because I was kind of scrambling at the end. But we thought, at each one of our picks, we put, or at the beginning of each day, of each of the draft picks, we're like, okay, players we want. And we had, I think, a list of like 5 guys. This is who I want in the first. This is who I'm hoping for in either the second or the third, and this is who I'm hoping 4 through 7 that we wind up getting. And that was a lot of fun because you wind up seeing some names pop up that were really cool, or you're watching, kind of tracking them throughout the draft, and so we're definitely going to do that. But as far as how my thoughts have changed, before free agency, the combine, and everything like that, I thought there was a really good chance that the Jets were going to wind up going with an offensive lineman because of how unsure they were of Becton, us not having a guard, having 𝐒𝐿 being available to play guard immediately, with the benefit of him being able to kick out to tackle. Now, since then, we have signed Laken Tomlinson. I do not want to go offensive lineman in the first round at all. I wouldn't even go it in the second or third round. I would prefer, 4th, 5th round, get a developmental guy, let Joe Douglas earn his stripes as that offensive line scout. That's probably my biggest thing. I really wanted wide receiver in either free agency or via trade, and if that doesn't happen, that kind of shakes up where I really wanted things to go, but I do like wide receiver in the second round, so I guess that maybe hasn't changed all that much. I don't think much has changed for me. I mean, maybe I think more of Sauce than I did prior, but that's also me starting to do more research than I had done at the beginning part of January anyway. So it's a weird kind of combination of things, but that's sort of my thought process. Green Bean, anything from your thought process changed?
Yeah. Not too much. Well, I will say I was considering cornerback a little bit more than I am now. I was always kind of on like cornerback isn't as much of a need as other things. But I've been on the edge rusher thing. I'm still on Kyle Hamilton more than I talk about because nobody listens. Nobody even hears me. All they talk about is, 4.7, 40. Like they don't, so I'm just tired of having that conversation. But if we take Kyle Hamilton, I might laugh so hard that I vomit on live streaming. I'm telling you, I might puke. I would laugh so hard because I'd be happy as hell. And I just know. So again, but I'm off of, so that has changed. I'm tired of defending it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I still like that pick. I think he would be incredible in our defense, and he would help a lot more than people give him credit for. But I gotta say, I think what changes a lot is the players, right? Like as we learn we get more time to dig into players and we hear other people's takes and we look deeper, So I think some players that I really liked in the beginning, I don't like so much. And there were guys that I didn't even know about, or they were way out on my peripheral. And I really like them right now. Like 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐞 is a good example. I got turned on to him. I watched him. Yeah, I liked him, dude. And he's climbing charts because I think more and more people are looking at him and like, wait a second, dude, this guy is 260, can cover, can hit. He's relentless. He never stops. He's a missile. Like, it's like, okay, well, why wouldn't you want that guy? He's a complete animal. So bringing him, how you talk about Ryan all the time, like who you bring in from the draft. We have a young team. We have a young coaching staff. We have a new organization. The players that you choose to bring in, that is going to be representative of what you hope your organization's identity is going to be. So going out there and getting a Jamal Adams, somebody blah, 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 or one of these guys, that speaks volumes to the locker room. You got young kids. You go ahead and you bring in a guy who's all business. All he wants to do is take your damn head off. That's all he wants to do. He's there in the morning. He's there at night. He's working, sweating, bleeding. That speaks to the team. Yes. And I think like a guy like 𝐒𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐞, there are others, of course, but I think that means a whole bunch. And then the other guys know that them working hard isn't for nothing. Like, dude, when 𝐒𝐿𝐿𝐲 got traded here, he did an interview and he said he was surprised at how little everybody was working, how they weren't working hard here. He said he was taken aback by how soft everybody was in our organization. Like, no, he was whatever the hell he was.
It's been an entire revamp. We've drafted, captains, and dude, you're preaching to the choir. And I've said it. The number 4 pick specifically is a statement pick for the rest of your locker room. So if you have fears of Kayvon Thibodeau's passion for the game, if there is that thought, don't go that route because you are sending a signal to the rest of your organization. Like, as much as I love the talent, there's plenty of other edge rushers that I think are bought in 100%. But that's why these 30-day, or not 30-day, these top 30 visits are important because you got to kind of figure all that stuff out. But dude, I'm right there with you. Philip Allen drops in with a super chat, says, are you guys going to cook for the draft or have a buffet? I'm going to have probably some microwave food or I'm going to order food while we're here. It's weird. We wind up eating on stream and stuff like that, but it's a good time. Green Bean, you planning to cook any food during the draft?
I don't eat during the draft.
I drink my calories.
Right. No, it's just, I just drink large bottles of seltzer water that I make myself. And I don't know. I like to have wings, as you know, so I might do that. But I don't know. I get sick to my stomach. I just want to get down to business, Ryan. That's all I want.
I completely agree. Jets NY 102 says we must play complimentary football next year. Completely agree. Disregard Papa comes in with a super chat, says, do you think this draft is good and plausible? Cake T at 4, London at 10. We need a receiver like London, big, strong, can jump up and get the ball. So, my thought process has changed a little bit in the last day and a half or so, 2 days. I released a video today talking about Chris Sims' top 5 wide receivers, and I recorded that prior to finding out that Drake London's pro day was moved. So now, I was already kind of like squirrely on Thibodeau based on all the other edge rushers, and now I'm feeling a little squirrely on Drake London because I, like Green Bean said, I like a lot of the wide receivers in this class. I don't need to necessarily roll the dice on someone who might have an injury. And the ankle injury concerns me more than an ACL injury right now. So this, I would say it's entirely plausible this happens and it could be good, but I would say both these players specifically kind of don't make me feel 100%, peachy keen.
Well, it's funny. Like, we're having a conversation throughout the draft. People are they can't understand that why I would forego wide receiver in the first. And we're talking about Ja'Marr Chase had 1,300 yards his rookie year, Justin Jefferson. And what I'm trying to tell people is Ja'Marr Chase is not in this draft. Okay? He's not. Justin Jefferson is not in this draft. Okay? Jalen Waddle is not in this draft. Right? Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, they're not in this draft. If Garrett Wilson and Olave, the reason Olave didn't come out last year, now he says because he wanted to finish what he started at Ohio State and whatever, that's all great. The reason he didn't come out is because he knew he was going to get swallowed by the pack. He was going to be wide receiver 6. Garrett Wilson would more than likely be wide receiver 5 in last year's draft class. Maybe 4. Maybe.
Okay, let's go through that real quick. So you got, I agree, no Jamar Chase. Waddle, I think
you got
if
Jamar
Jameson
Chase,
Williams hadn't
Waddle.
gotten hurt, I think Waddle and Jameson Williams are similar. Not
Jameson Williams
close.
Jameson Williams, there's a case to be made for him. He, like I said, he would be wide receiver 1 without question. Again,
maybe you say he's Devontae Smith. I think he's one of those two. I think there is an argument for that. But I do think so. Okay, after those 3, who was after that?
You got Jamar Chase. Listen, you got Jamar Chase. You got Devonta Smith. You got Jalen Waddle. You got Kyle Pitts, who's a tight end. But don't forget, he was getting taken above all these guys. Then you have Kadarius Toney. So that's the only one that I would even consider saying that Garrett Wilson might get taken before. He's not getting taken before the other 3. Ain't happening.
I think a lot of receivers in this class would be ahead of Kadarius Toney. So while you may not have like the top 3, I think you could say Garrett Wilson. I think Olave could certainly be on the level of a Justin Jefferson.
Well, that's what
Jefferson wound up going, 22?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he went in the draft with CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Ruggs, and all those. So that's why he was there. Justin Jefferson would be wide receiver 1 in this class, without question. Like I said, Jameson Williams, there's an art that's different. But again, there's something else you have to include. He tore his ACL at the end of the year. Now, if you want to push that aside and say it's great, fantastic. If your doctors check it out, great. Okay, but you have to consider that. We're not on equal footing. So that's the whole thing. If you think that Drake London, which is what was said in there, if you think Drake London is Jamar Chase, then I can totally understand why it is that you're so hung up on taking a wide receiver at 10. For me, I do not see it that way. Now, that's not to say I don't like Drake London. I love Drake London. Like Ryan said, I'm concerned about the ankle. I don't know what's going on. Why'd they push his pro day? What are they covering up? I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm just saying it's concern. There's a concern there, but I love the player. I happen to really like, now I'm fucking forgetting all my guys. Hold on a second. I'm like fried out. But anyway, there's a bunch of receivers that I really like in this draft. Yeah. Again, when you're looking at it from last year, the highest that Garrett Wilson goes in last year's draft is wide receiver 4. In the year before that, he's more than likely wide receiver 5 or 6 in that draft. And that's not to say I love Garrett Wilson. He's probably my wide receiver 1. I'd still like Treylon Burks a whole bunch, and I think that he might be the best wide receiver to take for us. But these guys, this is a top end. This is a weaker wide receiver class. Now, but it's a deeper wide receiver class in many respects, which is why I'm very comfortable waiting to 35 and grabbing your wide receiver. They're probably going to have 3-4 guys that are sitting right there that they're totally comfortable with taking at 35 or 38 or whatever it is. Now, that all said, they might just take a guy at 10, and I'm fine with that too if they think that's the best. My point is that when you look at the position, when you're stuck on a position in a draft, you think the Jets have to get a wide receiver and you're willing to forego talent and value and all those things, that's called reaching for need, and that's what gets you in trouble. And that's what the Jets have been doing as far back as you've been a fan. That Jets were always reaching for need, and that's what we cannot stand to see anymore. Can't do it. And that's all I'm saying.
Dude, I'm right there with you. I want wide receiver at 35 or tail end of the first. So I'm right there with you. I agree. I think I don't want receiver in the top 10. Kevin Delaney drops in with Super Chat. Thank you, brother. He says 6 of number 2, that's Zach Wilson, 6 of Zach Wilson's interceptions came when he had over 3 seconds to throw. Green Bean, your thoughts on 6 of the interceptions coming with greater than 3 seconds to throw, which is more time than the average.
Yeah, but look when they happened. Let's look at the rest of it. Kevin, I don't like stats out of context. Like there's a whole bunch of other stuff. So don't forget Zach Wilson's first 4 games, he was the most rushed, most pressured, most hit quarterback in the NFL, most sacked, and he also had that 1.7 second time to throw for the first quarter of the season. Plus, he also had an interesting stat called the number 1 drops in the league. So he comes out of that period, and then he has his own little slump in the middle of the year. Okay. How many of those 6 interceptions came off of Berrios's hands? 1 was Berrios's hands. 2 were Corey Davis's hands. So, I mean, we're talking hit guys in the hands, man. So we got to look at the whole thing. Am I psyched about Zach Wilson's performance? No, I'm not. But again, we want to look at things for what they really are. You know what I mean? So I'm not so concerned about Zach Wilson. I think he's got the makeup. I think we saw the improvement. We got to protect the kid. We got to catch the passes. But don't forget, there was that chunk of the year, Ryan, where he was throwing gutter balls like right into the dirt. Yeah. We thought he had brain damage.
Dude, I think so. In terms of this particular stat, and I don't know the validity of it, but I'll take it for what it is. With 3 seconds to throw, is that 3 seconds in the pocket, or is this Zach Wilson running for his life, creating more time and throwing an interception on the run, but he held on to the ball for 3 seconds? So there's a little bit of context here that I think we're missing, but I'm right there with you, Green Bean. Charles Gorman drops in with his member super chat. Been a member for 15 months. Thank you so much, brother. He says, hey, guys, I personally want the Jets to get Sauce. Brother, I'm right there with you. I want Sauce, but I understand the need for edge rusher. Sauce for me is kind of like CeeDee Lamb in 2020. I wanted him so bad, but tackle is the right move. That's how I feel about Sauce this year. I want Sauce really bad, but edge is the right move to make. Ricky Cooch drops in with a super chat, says, Cordell Volson. Green Bean, is he moving up in mocks? I don't know who Cordell Volson is. Green Bean.
No, he's not. He's not moving up. Yeah, he's North Dakota State. I looked at him. I mean, he's probably a 5th round guy. I think he might be moving up a little bit. I actually watched a bunch on him. I like him. He's real sloppy. He's a road grader. He's very limited. His upper body, if I remember correctly, isn't all that strong. Like he's got really good lower. I mean, I'm trying to go off my memory here, but I like him, but he's very developmental. He's probably the perfect guy to take in the 5th round. Like, that kind of a player, give him a year, a full year, man, like in your system and, your nutrition, your off-season program. He's got the right attitude and all that kind of stuff, but I don't see him going too early. He's got a lot to work on.
Taps any button, says, anyone excited for Flight 2022? You damn right. We're going to be flying on it all season long. So we're excited.
We're live streaming it.
Dude, we're live streaming the whole thing. I love it. I really like what the Jets production team does over there. I think we have one of the best media teams in all of the NFL. I think they really, really do a good job. And I have no problem not being on Hard Knocks because of our team we have at One Jets Drive. Scott Wilson, thank you so much for the super chat. Drops in, says, if we don't like the wide receivers at the top and can't pull off a trade, what's the likeliness we take a premier running back in the 2nd to have a legit 1-2 punch, run wild behind our shiny new top 10 offensive line? Ooh, okay. So this is interesting. If we don't like one of the receivers, look, I still want to get one. I still want to trade for a receiver. That's still my option 1. And I think the fact that we were willing to give up 2 seconds and a 3rd leads me to believe we don't want to take receiver in the top 10. And I think we feel those picks could be expendable for the right player. So I do think we would wind up using one of those 2nd round picks for a wide receiver, but I would not hate if we used one of them on a running back. Now, I like James Cook a lot, Dalvin Cook's brother from Georgia. I
know you do. I don't like him.
Dude, that's the running back. If I had to go with one, every year I kind of fall in love with a guy. And like, Kenny Gainwell was that dude last year. Like, it's every year I have a thing for one of these running backs. And James Cook is my guy this year. Is he a 2nd round pick? Probably not. But I'm not opposed to a running back a little bit earlier than you might think. Tevin Coleman's only on a 1-year contract. I don't think Ty Johnson's here beyond this year. So yeah, I don't hate it. It's not necessarily where I'd go early, but I don't hate it. Green Bean.
All right, let me talk about this one. This is going to be funny, and my sticks in the mud aren't going to understand this because they don't like it. But here's what I'm going to suggest: a specific way of thinking about this. Again, we want to go to 12 and 22 personnel. 22 means 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, which would leave 1 wide receiver on the field. And obviously in 12 and 21, they would go with 2 wide receivers on the field. Okay. So if we already brought in 2 tight ends and we have Kenny Yeboah. We are prepared to run this. We go ahead and we draft an edge rusher, and you got Nakobe Dean, Devin Lloyd, Leo Chanel, whoever your linebacker of choice is at 10. Then at 35, you're sitting there and you're looking. You got a first-round wide receiver that you love. You pluck him at 35, and then you decide to grab the best running back in the entire draft at 38 because the best running back is probably going to be more valuable to your team than any other position at that point. Now, you can argue other positions. I know that. But just like what was said, we're trying to be a 22-12 personnel. We got Michael Carter. He had 3 injuries last year. We love Michael Carter. We want him as a part of the team. We're all big fans. But him splitting duty is what he did in college to great success. And now we do it here with, let's just say, Breece Hall. Like whoever their number 1 running back in the draft is. Go ahead and take him at 38. Now you got your tight ends, you got your receivers, you got your offensive line, you got your edge, you got your linebacker, and now you got Michael Carter's partner. Our offense is off and running. And you can still, in the 3rd or 4th, grab a Jake Ferguson. You can grab a Jeremy Ruckert, a Dulcich, whoever it is that you want at tight end to be the developmental guy just to make sure there are no injuries. But, dude, there's a lot of logic. Now, Joe Douglas hasn't done that, so there's nothing backing it up as far as data to say that he will do that. But if you look at this situation specifically, there's a lot of logic that says it might make a whole bunch of sense to, rather than wait until the 4th round to grab your running back, take the number 1 running back in the draft right there at 35. Get it done, or 38, whatever.
Charles Gorman drops in with a super chat, says, guys, I just watched Ahmad Sauce Gardner highlights from last year. Incredible talent. Yes, I think he is absolutely phenomenal. I do think he is a unicorn caliber talent, more so than I think Kyle Hamilton is. But I think they provide benefits in different ways. Like, I think there is an argument to say that safety is more valuable than corner in today's NFL because of the versatility aspect of it.
Yeah.
But 6'3", 4.4 speed corners that didn't allow a touchdown their entire college career don't come around very often, and I love Sauce. I really do. I'm hoping we find a reason to wind up drafting him. Green Bean, any thoughts there?
Yeah, well, look, nobody's going to talk about Sauce Gardner being not being talented and all that kind of stuff. Again, I think he's going to be challenged in the NFL in such a way that he's not used to. Don't forget, Kobe Bryant got all the reps. It's very valuable that somebody can shut down half the field. We saw it with Revis, and that's all well and good. When he comes to the NFL level, they're going to challenge him. They're going to go at him early, and who knows? He's not used to it. He's definitely not used to it. He's the guy who never let up a touchdown because he gets challenged significantly less than Kobe Bryant did on the opposite side. So I love Sauce Gardner. Again, I don't necessarily think we should use an asset like that on a cornerback. I'd much rather see it on a free safety. But if we did, I wouldn't be unhappy with it. I mean, he's crazy talented. Again, I'd rather see Kyle Hamilton in our green pants.
So, Green Bean, I want you to take a look at Nightbot. So with our list of people qualified for T-shirts, we're going to keep going. We got more super chats.
You wanted 6, right? How many do I got? 6.
So we're up to 332 likes, which means we're at 12.
Oh God. Okay, I'll get on it.
13. So you can start ripping through those. We'll get through some super chats here. Let's see. We just did Charles Gorman. So Rojo Fish, Redfish, One Fish, Two Fish, Redfish, Bluefish says,
Yeah.
as Jet fans, how do you feel about Wilson? I traded for him in my Dynasty League. Traded Russell Wilson for Zach Wilson. And then the number 10 pick. And then a 2023 second and a 2024 first plus 4 fourths. I guess it depends who your other quarterback is. Like if you're trading Russell Wilson for Zach Wilson and getting all these picks, you probably still are hoping that you have a different quarterback than Zach Wilson as your starter for fantasy. But as far as a trade goes, I do think Russell Wilson may not exceed expectations the way that people are hoping, but we may wind up seeing a situation like Denver with Peyton Manning, where it's like, hey, Peyton's just running everything he wants and he goes off and has one of the most elite seasons ever. Maybe Russell Wilson has the same type of success. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. But look, I have a ton of faith in Zach Wilson. I think if there were a quarterback that you would want to have in a stacked AFC right now, Zach Wilson and his potential is so much higher than Mac Jones and his high floor, low ceiling. Like, I will take Zach Wilson over Mac Jones all damn day when competing in the AFC. Let's see. We got...
Let me just say a couple things.
Yeah,
Pete
preach,
Petraglia, you didn't win yet. You're in the contest. Right now we're finding the qualifiers. So Jeremy won. He's now chosen by Nightbot 3 times. So you're only going to be in there once, Jeremy. But yeah, Pete, you didn't necessarily win yet. Stay to the end of the show. We do it, and you'll see how we do it. You might win, but these are the qualifiers to see who will win out of this group. That's what I'm doing.
Endrigo Da Silva. Thank you for the super chat. Says, would you guys be upset if we double dipped on defensive backs? Sauce at 4, Kyle Hamilton at 10, best available edge at 35, best available wide receiver at 38. Class has many edge rushers. I don't love any situation where we come out of the top 10 without our edge rusher. I think as long as you get an edge rusher with one of our top 2 picks, I don't care what the other pick is. If you want to go edge rusher, Hamilton at 10, Sauce, edge rusher at 10, or, offensive lineman, edge rusher at 10, edge rusher at 10, edge rusher at 4, offensive lineman. There's a lot of situations if you want to go edge and then linebacker at 10. Like, I would be happy with any of that as long as edge is one of the top 2 picks for us. So I don't like any situation where we're not getting the best edge rusher available at 4 or 10 and waiting till the second round, because I think you lose a ton of value. Look, there's going to be some good edge rushers that do end up falling to the second round, but it's the percentage chance really starts to take a dip. So 4 or 10 for me must be an edge rusher. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Yeah. I agree, man. You have to come out of this with an edge rusher, dude. And see, the thing is, it's not a reach. You know what I mean? Like, we are at 4. Even if the weirdest thing happens and edge rushers go 1, 2, and 3, there are still edge rushers that are okay at 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's say it's Thibodeau, Hutchinson, and the flavor of the month, Walker, right? Let's say it's those. You still got Karlaftis and Jermaine Johnson right there. Both of them are quality and can be taken with the 4 overall. Get it done and get your edge rusher. If you like him a little bit less than maybe the guys taking 1, 2, and 3, then double up in the second. Go ahead. Get it done. Get our edge rush. This defense is predicated on it. It depends on it. Make sure we leave this draft with it.
Daniel Faust drops in with a super chat. Says, Joe did an interview to NFL meeting, explaining the new teamwork among players and his confidence in Mims. I heard the whole Mims comment was unsolicited. I think he has confidence in Mims because he drafted him. But I think there is a little bit lost on Mims because of everything that's kind of transpired in the last year. But like Green Bean alluded to earlier in this stream, the dude Mims, for me, played well all last year with Gase, or 2 years ago with Gase. Then you're like,
Right.
okay, I'm going to be the number one receiver coming in. Oh, wait, no. They wind up bringing in Corey Davis and Keelan Cole. Okay, that's a little weird. Oh, and they also draft a wide receiver higher in the second round than they drafted me. Okay, that's a little weird. Now I'm like fourth in the pecking order. Oh, now I get food poisoning from salmon at the Jets facility. Like, Denzel Mims was behind the 8 ball from the very, very beginning of this entire year. So I'm really hoping there is a lot of positive thoughts on him because, look, I don't know where you stand on Green Bean on this, but I thought after the 2020 draft, offensive tackle and wide receiver were two positions we wouldn't have to address in the first round, specifically in the top 10. And if we have to address both of those in the top 10, I'm going to go on a toddler punching rampage. Just
it's the worst.
hitting little Teletubbies around. Oh, man, I'd be so mad.
Right. And listen, man, this is the other thing, too. What's more realistic to you guys? Just let's remove our emotions and our thoughts. Let's just look at the scenario. What's more likely? A receiver that had 4 years in college and an NFL rookie season of steady production where he's always had a reputation of being a hard worker, never had, he's not a complainer, none of those things. He's not lazy. All of a sudden is lazy, stupid, and doesn't care, or the rookie coaching staff that's never done this before took a wrong tact with him. And they tried the tough love thing, made him learn 3 positions, and it was the wrong move. Like, what's more likely? Really? What's more? And then you add the COVID and the food poisoning and all the other shit. Dude, he looked lost last year. I'm not going to say differently, but the first 6 games of the season, don't forget, he played 3 snaps. Game 1, he had a 40-yard reception. Then they benched him for 2 weeks. He comes back in game 4, he had 3 for 36. Comes in the next game, he had 2 catches. So there was nothing wrong for the first half of the season that we could see on the field. They just weren't playing him. They wanted him to learn 3 positions. And then he went down from there. So I don't know what it is. I'm just saying, when you look at something objectively, the guy has the production. He has no negative rap on him personnel-wise. Like, as far as personality-wise, I mean, character. He's just mellow. He's just not he's a gamer. He doesn't really hold himself. He's not an excitable guy. He's just real quiet and subdued. But he goes on the field, he fucking dominates. And so, I don't know, this staff didn't like him. So I'm just saying, it's a rookie staff. Couldn't it be possible that they took the wrong approach with him? Is that not possible? Sure. You know what I mean?
Sure. 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐫𝐢 drops in with super chat. 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞 says, do you guys believe the Jets would trade back in to the late part of the first round? Yes, I 100% think that is going to happen. I think the Jets were offering 2 seconds and a third for Tyreek Hill. I think they're willing to expend those picks for the right wide receiver. I think it would be, I don't think they're going to give up all 3 picks to trade up into the first, but I do think they give up a second and potentially a third to move up into the high 20s. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Trade back, and well, I think we can. And there are scenarios where you'd love to see them do it. Like, let's say Aiden Hutchinson slides all the way to pick 26, and you know what I mean? Like, there are scenarios where you want to do it. I prefer that they don't in most instances. But having 3 firsts, if you got to lose a third for it, it just, I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. But it's all about the player. Like we say, nobody talks about the 2nd round pick we gave up to move up to grab Revis. Nobody cares. Yep. And so if we do that, it's all for the greater good. I don't care.
Mutt Viles drops in with super chat, says, is it possible to trade for A.J. Brown and keep 4 and 10? Yes, I think it's entirely possible. I don't necessarily think the Titans are going to come up to number 10 anyway. But I do think with them having $4 million in salary cap this year, $14 million in salary cap next year, with A.J. Brown going into the final year of his deal and guys getting $30 million a year on wide receiver contracts, I think it's entirely possible that the Jets do give up both 2nd-round picks and a 3rd-round pick for someone like A.J. Brown, for someone like DK Metcalf, the same way they offered for Tyreek Hill. So, yeah, I think it's entirely possible, and I don't think they're going to offer up number 10 for a wide receiver in a trade. Even DK, I think there's probably – it would wind up being a trade down with DK coming in and us throwing in a second. I don't think we're giving up either 1st-round pick for a receiver. Green Bean, your thoughts?
I could see it. I could see us giving up 10. Like, listen to this, Ryan. This is all squeaky clean.
Mm-hmm.
You give up 10 back to Seattle, right? And they give you DK Metcalf and pick 109, which is our 4th round pick in the same trade that we got 10. So you get your pick back. We get our pick back. You give us DK Metcalf. We traded Jamal Adams for AVT and DK Metcalf, and it's clean as a whistle.
Don Tiki drops in with super chat, says, 𝐒𝐿 𝐫𝐞𝐫𝐢 at 4, Sauce at 10, Watson 35, Tyler Smith 38, Chanel or Smith at 69. Thoughts? I like edge rusher 4. I love Sauce at 10. I'm skeptical as to whether he'll be there or not. I think the Giants might take him at 7 if he's there, and I think the Seahawks might take him at 9 if he's there. Watson at 35 I think is plausible. Tyler Smith. What position does Tyler Smith play? I actually don't have any idea.
Oh, he's awesome. He's a guard, but he can play tackle. He's very versatile. He's good, man. Yeah, I like him a whole bunch.
That's 100%. That's a possibility. I think if they think Fant is not going to sign, I would take a tackle a little bit higher, and then I would look to move Fant at the trade deadline. I think that would probably be where I'd wind up looking. But it's interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Dupacabra 7 drops in the super chat, says, you guys are going to love Drake London when Joe Douglas picks him at number 10. I like Drake London as a prospect. I'm a little worried about his ankle. I think if the reason they moved his pro day is because that ankle's not 100% healthy, I think there's legitimate concern there. I like the ACL injuries more than I like the ankle injuries. Now, if Joe Douglas takes him at 10, yeah, I'm going to like it because I trust Joe Douglas. I trust our scouting department. That's not like other years with McCagnon, with 𝐒𝐿, where I was like, oh, yeah, no, I have full faith in our scouting department. That's not the case. This year, or this regime, I do have that confidence. And I think if they are pulling the trigger on Drake London, I will have 100% faith in it. There's a little concern there, but I have faith in Douglas.
But here's the thing with Dupacabra. He's been on this. This is now 2 hours and 15 minutes of Dupacabra talking about Drake London. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the difference, Dupacabra, between us and sounds like where you are. You're only going to be happy if they take Drake London at 10. I'm going to be happy if they take him and Kyle Hamilton and Karlaftis and Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd. You see what I'm saying? And Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, dude, receiver in the second. You and I are on the same page. We got to talk to Matt on a sidebar and be like, yo, Matt, no receiver at 10. Get on the Green Bean and Ryan train. Like,
right.
Receiver in the second round is way better value than what you're going to get at 10.
It is. Yeah. That's the thing. It's about value. And look, we all have players, just like you said with Cook, and last year, Gainwell was your guy. So, and he was your guy early too. That's what's funny about it.
Yeah.
But like we all have those
middle
guys.
of like the season in 2020. I had him in my first mock. I was like, I love him. I know he's opted out, but I really like him.
You know what's funny? In 2020, you know who my guys were? Donovan Peoples-Jones, Bryce Hall, totally, yep. And Kenny Willekes, who went to the Vikings. He was injured in his first game. He came in, he got 2 sacks. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things. Like, look, we like guys; they don't always work out. But the truth is, man, is that we got a pretty good head on our shoulders, and we're watching. Mm-hmm. We're not overthinking things. But look, you like Drake London, great. You know what I mean? I like Drake London. And again, if their medicals check out, same thing with Jameson Williams. Drake London spooks me. Jameson Williams spooks me. It's like, and then like Ojabo. It's funny. I put out a tweet the other day. I said, let's take Derek Stingley and Jameson Williams in the first with Ojabo and somebody else that's injured in the second. And people were like, you're nuts. You're fucking crazy. Won't you? I'm like, dude, clearly I'm being facetious here. Like I'm trying to point out the ridiculousness of it. You know what I mean? But if that's their guy and they think he's good, I'm going to be happy if they take Drake London. I think he's a good player. You know what I mean? I'm happy.
So Stud City has a great comment, and it looks like Rusty Spooner might have been the first one to come up with it. And that is cancel a t-shirt contest and send Gitmo a t-shirt for today. So instead of canceling the t-shirt contest, we're going to send Gitmo Bob a t-shirt anyway, and we're still going to pick someone tonight for our t-shirt giveaway. We're 100% going to support Gitmo. We love that dude. We hope everything works out with him over there. And the least thing he has to think about is just us talking on the internet. Hopefully he's sitting there, watching us, hanging out with us. But we're going to send him a shirt. I'll reach out to him. I think I have his information. If I don't, I got to figure out a way to get it. Because I don't know his address or anything. And if he's not watching right now, it might be a little tough. So you know what I'll do? After this stream ends, I'll put a pinned comment asking Gitmo Bob to reach out to us. And I mean, if we have, NFL Chaos with Jeremy says, I have the address. Perfect. Jeremy,
nice.
Reach out to me. Let's get it. Let's send him. Especially if you know his shirt size. I don't know his shirt size, but if you
Jeremy,
his
do you know his social? Give us his social.
I'm trying to open a bank account right now. Hey, Gitmo Bob.
Who else's address are you holding, Jeremy?
He's just got a whole bunch. I love it.
I got everybody's address. Oh, God.
All right. Chris Miser drops in with a super chat. Mazer, sorry. He says, you guys see Carl Lawson's workout video by chance? I did not see it, but I would imagine.
It's awesome. You're going to love it.
Dude, if there's one person to come back from an injury, like a ruptured Achilles, it's Carl Lawson. I really, really like him, and I hope we get to see what he was gonna be last year, this year.
Hey, put it on. Share the screen with us. Watch it. You're gonna love it, dude. It's good.
Let's see.
You want to talk about us? Hey, who's gonna lie, right? You want to talk about a guy sweating? That man is sweating. He's working.
All right.
Ryan, I got to get a drink. I can hear you, but I'm going to get a drink, okay?
Yeah, you get a drink. I'm going to figure out if I could figure out how to get Carl Lawson's video up here. Let's see if I can show it. Let's see. Carl Lawson. Is that him in the pool? Oh, yeah. Look at him go. What a dog. I love it. Okay, let's see if I can make this happen. What do I have to do here? I'm going to pull this down. I have no idea if this screen share is going to work, so bear with me, guys. This is what I should set this up beforehand so I can share these types of things. Let's see. Screen share. All right, you can see that. Let's see if I can switch this to Google Chrome. There we go. Update system audio. No, I'm not going to update the system audio right now. Let's see how this ends up working. I have no idea if this is working the correct way. All right. Where's the play button? Bam!
I've been vibing for a reason. I've been grinding all season. I've been staying away from leeches. I've been vibing for a reason. I've been vibing.
My favorite thing about this whole thing is him wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt. If you guys didn't see his... So he had a One Jets Drive episode last year at the beginning of the season where he was talking about all his, anime love. Like, he loves Dragon Ball Z. He grew up watching that. I grew up watching Dragon Ball Z. Think it's friggin' awesome. Sorry if I blew your speakers out. I should have probably checked that out. Yeah, dude, I friggin' love it. Slugo says, give Gitmo 18 holes of golf when he gets better. I would 100% do that. I will give him 18 holes of golf at Black Bear. 100%.
I'll tell Bob if he gives us higher than a C on any of our mock drafts, then we'll give him an 18 holes of golf.
Right? Oh, I love it. Okay, AM Super Chat coming in says, Sauce at 4, Hamilton at 10. Defense would get scary. I still want an edge.
Yeah, that's the problem, right?
That's the whole issue with me in this whole situation. Travis drops in with Super Chat, says, I want turnovers, Sauce and Hamilton. Wow, back-to-back Super Chats with people saying the same damn thing. I'm sorry. I understand us wanting to get more opportunities for the offense, but, dude, I need an edge rusher because that's going to generate more turnovers. than either Sauce or Hamilton, in my opinion. Kevin drops in with another super chat, says, why not edge at 35 or 38 since we have Jacob Martin? I don't believe Jacob Martin or a Nag or any of those guys are the solution. I think they're rotational guys with Huff. You got to draft your guy because we don't know what Carl Lawson is going to be. I think it's still, a little up in the air. As much as I love Carl Lawson, you have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. Totally.
Yeah, I agree. Dude, that's the scariest thing in the world to me. Like, here's the thing. Like, somebody said that, I was saying, don't reach for need, and then I was saying reach for need with the edge. I don't believe that. I think that the strength of the top end of this draft is edge.
Yes.
And it just so happens that that's our number one need. Like, Salah's defense requires it. And we really don't have it. Like Ryan said, we all love Lawson. We all got high hopes. Dude, this is his third season-ending injury. And we don't know. And he's not getting any younger, right? So we need it. And it just so happens that the top 5 edge rushers you could argue that they are the top 5 players in the draft. You could. Now, you probably have to inject Sauce in there. A lot of people are going to inject Hamilton, and then you got the tackles and maybe a quarterback, but they're among the discussion. So you're up there at 4, waiting till the second and hoping that, Cameron Thomas or Drake Jackson or just something. I keep seeing something in the corner of my eye. It's like a
floater,
bug,
right? It's a little squiggle you see in your eye that you can never quite get in the middle of your vision.
Yeah, so it just makes me scared. Like, look, I would love it. Like, let's say we trade back a little bit and we get a Karlaftis or something in the first, and then we decide to take Boye Mafe in the second. Like, dude, I'm with it. And then you let Bradley and I and Bryce Huff and Jabari Zuniga and all those guys know one of you guys ain't making it. Which one is it? Get off your asses, bust your humps. One of you guys got to go. So let's get a competition going, man. And that's the way it should be.
I see some comments in the chat says, hey, play the video for Green Bean that I played of Carl Lawson's workout and blow out his eardrums. Apparently, I did not check the audio. And I just blew everyone's eardrums.
I heard it.
Green Bean heard it. Was it that loud?
It's funny. Well, my wife came out, so I took my headphones off and I was talking to her while I was getting my drink, and I heard the music. I actually turned my head and went, what the fuck is that? And I put my earphones. I was like, what is that?
Apparently, I blew out everyone's eardrum, so I apologize for that. That's what happens when I don't check the audio before I jump into a video like that. So that's my fault. Phenom, thank you for the $1 super chat. Dark Soldier comes in with a super chat. Says, Greeny, can we send Gitmo Bob a t-shirt? Yes, Dark Soldier. I 100% agree with all you guys talking in the chat. We will send him a t-shirt for sure. Hopefully he's feeling a little bit better. It's the least we can do. Akeem Routledge drops in the super chat, says, I'm alone. I'm not trading up or down. I'm just getting talent in the building with the picks we have. And I think that's kind of where Green Bean is, with the exception of the potential trade down from 4 or 10 to like 16, 19, 20, somewhere in that picks. I think a trade down is a little bit different because we both see the value in like picks, maybe the mid-teens through the 3rd round. I think there's a ton of value that's all kind of clumped together in there, and especially for the Jets' needs, interior offensive line, linebacker, wide receiver. There's some depth there for sure. So I do think there is something to that, Akeem. Green Bean, any thoughts on the depth there and not trading up or down?
Well, this is what we're talking about, right? Like, this is really the big decision. It's like we made all these moves to acquire all this capital. We got the luck of the draw, and it turned out that both Seattle, who was expected to be good, and our pick was going to be late, they're a top 10 pick. The Panthers were supposed to be good, and we got the second or the 3rd pick in the 2nd round, whatever it is, the 5th pick in the 2nd round with them. So we got a little lucky here with where these picks fell. There is an argument. You already made your moves. This is what every team covets. Take 4 good players. We need our freaks. That said, the other thought is if you could take one of those and acquire more So you can take more blue chip type players over the next year or 2 years. You might want to consider that too. But I'm with you, man. I have half a mind just to really hope that they just stay where they are, pick 4 studs, and let's go to battle.
Jay Perez drops in with super chat. Thank you, Jay. He says, what edge is most likely to drop to 10? Would Atlanta take an edge? It's entirely possible. So it depends how the top 3 picks go before us. Because let's say one edge goes before us, and the Jets have their option of taking an edge, being the second one, like 𝐒𝐿 or passing on it and going a different direction. So if the Jets were to pass and there was one already taken, I do think the Giants go O-line. I think the Panthers go quarterback or O-line. I think the Giants at 7 could take an edge. So let's say the second edge comes off the board at that point. At 8, I still think wide receiver is squarely in play for the Atlanta Falcons, and I think they're going to try and create an environment for their for their quarterback next year in 2023 that I think they're going to try and trade up for. If you take a receiver now, then at least they're kind of in the building. Could they go a different direction? Sure. I don't know if they necessarily go edge. I mean, I guess they lost who's the guy we all love? Dante Fowler. So maybe they are thinking it to some extent. And then I would say Seattle's an interesting pick, but I do think there's going to be at least 2 of the top 5 available for the Jets at 10. I think at the bare minimum, as long as only one goes before us at 4, I think there will be 2 for us to choose from, and I think Karlaftis will be one of them, and then I think it's either Walker, Kayvon, or Jermaine Johnson. It's tough because I don't know who's really rising on boards. I would think Jermaine Johnson and Karlaftis would be the 2, I think, based on what I'm hearing.
Yeah, all this Trayvon Walker madness, I'm not buying.
I like him. I'm buying it, dude. I think the projection, maybe we don't like him as a draft pick for the Jets, but I think his versatility is very similar to John Franklin Myers, and I think him on a cheap 5-year contract with John Franklin Myers inside, and you can rotate the 2 of them inside outside and flip them. I think that's valuable.
Are you using a top 5 pick on John Franklin Myers, man?
Not on John Franklin Myers, but on Trayvon Walker. Yeah, I'm just saying I think the defensive tackle edge rusher is valuable. I don't think he is. I think he's better than John Franklin Myers, but I think the positional flexibility is similar to John Franklin Myers.
I don't like his second and third effort, man. I don't like it. Okay. I don't like it. He seems like a one move guy. I think, you know what I think? I think all the Thibodeau negativity is being created by one Joe Douglas. And I think all the Trayvon, and I think all of the Trayvon Walker stuff is also Joe Douglas. That's what I think.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
I guarantee Joe Douglas has some sort of feelers out there, and he's like, hey, let's have this interview leaked to Jets Talk 24/7, and he can rip on Kayvon Thibodeau, and we're going to get the fan base behind us. We're going to get the entire Jets landscape to start getting all amped up against Kayvon Thibodeau for Trayvon Walker, and then we're going to wind up drafting the opposite right there. Dude, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest.
Joe Douglas is connected. You know what we're going to find out? In 15 years, there's going to be a book written by Daniel Jeremiah with a foreword by Todd McShay, and they're going to let everybody know that they were all in cahoots with Joe Douglas to turn the Jets around, and they helped him to spread what he needed to get done out there into the world, because we've now won 4 Super Bowls, and they wanted their credit for it. You'll see. You'll see.
From your lips to God's ears. Hater Ali drops in the super chat, says, Green Bean Jets fan, we should chip in and send our bro Gitmo a little get well something. If you think it's cool, let Jeremy know. Yeah, 100%. Let's send him a shirt. I think that's the least we could do. I don't know if we could think of something else too. I'm totally down with that.
Maybe we can figure out, man, like a card. Like I put a thing out on YouTube today. I got 200 people replied to it. So maybe if we get one of those little, like, everybody can sign a card, man. You know how to do that? You know those little things?
No, I don't. I mean, I've done it, obviously for coworkers and things like that with a physical card. But there's actually like a digital version of that. I guess that would make sense, right?
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like if we could all like check in there and everybody just write something and then he gets to see it.
Let's do that. Let's send him a shirt and let's do one of those. And you know what we'll do? We'll have you, me, Matt tweet about it. We'll post it on our community pages. And let's try to get as much of this Jet community that we have to really show Gitmo like how much we love this community and how much we could really like. We want him to get better. We want everything to go well for him. So Hater, I completely agree. I think this is a great opportunity for us. Green Bean, we'll definitely talk about it a little bit more, but I think we should absolutely post something like that.
Yeah, right on, man.
For
I
sure.
think that's a great idea, Green Bean.
Nicholas, Green Bean, you're a great dude. Nicholas drops in with 2 $1 donations back to back. No super chat question involved. I tried looking in the chat as well. I didn't see it. So I apologize if you had something in there. But, brother, thank you. I appreciate all the support nonetheless. Chris Mazer drops in with another super chat. Says, that's the short version of the Carl Lawson video. There's a longer one. Well, I'm not going to show it because I've already ripped off the audio, and people are going to be upset with me for doing that. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to go that route, but I understand it. I get it. Let's see. Jose Cornell. Jose, thank you for the super chat. Says, my dream draft, Hamilton at 4, Jermaine Johnson at 10, Watson at 35, Perion Winfrey at 38, Chanel at 69. So we get a safety, an edge rusher, a receiver, an interior edge rusher, I guess, sort of like a hybrid-ish kind of person, defensive tackle, and a linebacker at 69.
Yeah.
It's hard to be upset with that, right?
Yeah.
I would like this.
That's fantastic, but Leo Chanel's not making it to 69.
No, and I'll be honest,
no.
I don't think Watson makes it to 35. I think he's going to slip into the first round. As much as you and I think he should be a second-round pick, I think he sneaks into it. And I still don't like Hamilton at 4. Hamilton at 10 is a different story. Hamilton at 4, I don't love.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you take Jermaine Johnson at 4 and Hamilton at 10? I know you would.
So I would take whatever they deem as the best edge rusher at 4. I would have no problem with that. So if that is Johnson, my issue is if they think Johnson is one of the best edge rushers and they try to get him at 10 and he's not there. So if they like any of the edge rushers at 10, look, I'm still not on Hamilton at 4 because I do think edge rusher I think safety is a top position in the top of the second round where you can get a ton of value. So receiver and safety in the second round provide a better value for me, and then I would prefer edge rusher and another position, whether it be trade down or not, right there in the first.
Hey, I saw a really good suggestion in the chat. Wait, hold on. Where did it go? So I want to give the person credit because it's good. I wonder if we could pull it off. Hold on. Where the hell did it go? Oh, shit. I completely lost it. I'm sorry, man, whoever you are. But they said, why don't we all chip in and get a Joe Namath cameo for Gitmo Bob?
Ooh, how do we do that? What, like, I don't know how does do.
Yeah, how does do this? We don't know.
How does
Get Joe Namath to go visit Bob in the hospital.
Maybe we can. We could do it like a Make-A-Wish. Can we do a Make-A-Wish for Gitmo? Hopefully we don't. Hopefully he doesn't need a Make-A-Wish. Hopefully he'll get better and we.
Right, he's going to be fine. Right, that's the hope.
Kevin drops in with a super chat. I definitely missed this one. I apologize, brother. He says, Green Bean, I mentioned to Ryan Breece Hall, but falling to pick 35. It's entirely possible he's there at 35. I think the Jets could get the top running back if he wanted to. I think the top running back will go to Tampa Bay in the first round. That's just sort of a gut feeling. If not, do I hate running back at 35? I don't hate it. It's not where I'd go, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, look, it makes total sense too. Like they're letting Fournette go, right? Going ahead and bringing in, the top running back, like you said, 5 years. That's basically his whole career anymore. So using that first, they're stacked elsewhere. They got Godwin, they got Evans, they got Brady, and you know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, their offensive line is beefy. Go ahead, right? It makes sense that they would, but any way you slice it, though, if we decided to go running back in the second, you're going to get one of, if not your top running back in the draft, because who's to say that our top running back is their top running back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. Shane Howard, I apologize for missing your super chat. He says, hey guys, would you take Jermaine Johnson at 4? Yeah, I would. I think Jermaine Johnson, Walker, Karlaftis, Thibodeau, and Hutchinson, all 5 of them, I think they are all worthy of a top 10 pick. And if there is one of those 5 edge rushers that you like more than another, and you think they're there at 4, make the pick. I don't care if you think they're, should be worthy of the 7th or 8th or 9th pick. If you like one of the edge rushers more than any of the other ones, make the pick. I like Jermaine Johnson's personality a lot. I think there's definitely a concern from him going from the ACC or from the SEC to the ACC. I think that's a valid concern, but I do like him a lot. I think the knock on him, aside from the conference switch, is that he's 2 years older than some of the juniors in this class because of the transfer. But yeah, I like Jermaine Johnson a lot. Greenbean, would you take Johnson at 4?
Look, I don't have him as my top guy. Like, so it would depend on who's there. Like, if KT is there, or if Hutchinson is there, or Karlaftis is there, I'm not taking him. Mm-hmm. That said, if those 3 are gone, do I think he's worthy of the 4th pick? I mean, look, yeah, he got, 18 sacks last year or some shit like that? 17, 18 sacks? Yeah, I think I would. Sure. Yeah.
Mark Riss.
So they said the Bucks re-signed Fournette. So I didn't.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. I knew there was thoughts about it, and then I thought they lost one of their guys. But okay, so
yeah.
Maybe the top running back goes in the 2nd, because I don't think there's anyone in the 1st at this point now that I can see pulling the trigger. That was like kind of the only spot I sort of saw him possibly landing at. Let's see. We got Mark Riss dropping in with a $10 super chat. Says Trayvon Walker or KT at 4, Jameson Williams at 10, Pickens at 35 or Christian Watson at 35, Devin Lloyd at 38. The rest for Gitmo Bob donation. Brother, thank you so much. We're going to get Gitmo Bob a nice little something or other. We'll figure out something to send to him. Love that dude. Hopefully everything's working out for him. But as far as your super chat goes, yeah, edge rusher at 4, regardless of either one of those players, I'm fine with. I still don't like going Jameson Williams and Pickens or Watson. I think you only need one of the receivers for sure. And I like Devin Lloyd. I don't think he's going to wind up making it to 38, but I would be all about it. So for me, take one of the receivers either at 10 or 35. 35 would be my preferred choice. And then swap out another position in there. Greenbean, what are you thinking about Mr. Mark's super chat?
Yeah, well, I'm with you, man. Like, taking 2 injured wide receivers, does that guarantee that one of them will be healthy? Is there anything?
One might not be healthy and one might be a bust, right? Like, it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah,
awful.
But this is the thing, Mark, is that we're the Jets, right? And like, we're all fans, we're all on the same team here, we're all buddies. But we got to pay attention to who we are. And like, if we did something like that, Mark, as much as I'm a big Pickens fan. If we did that, damn well both would be injured just so we could be poked at and laughed at by the rest of the world. That's how it goes. So we got to be smart. Now, I'm not a big fan of double dipping at wide receiver anyway. I don't think we need to. I want one, but I don't think we need to. But if it was one of those, if we decide to take Jameson Williams, I'm confident that we're going to get a nice chunk of his career. Again, I'm hoping that Zach Wilson's year 2, he has all the weapons that we can give him. And I see Jameson Williams missing a significant part of the year, then having to adjust and do all that shit. So it's wasting this first year in much, or at least a lot of it. And I think this is a pivotal period of time for Zach, which is why I'm so concerned about it.
So I'm going to leapfrog a few super chats real quick because I just saw Dark Soldier come in with this one. He says, Wayne Corbett is $100 on Cameo.com for Gitmo Bob. So 100%, I'll reach out to Wayne on Cameo.com. I didn't know that was a thing.
Hell's Cameo.com? That's what they're talking about?
I guess you can pay $100 to get someone to do a cameo for him. So let's do that. We'll plan to send Gitmo a T-shirt. We're gonna try to do a card from all of us signed, and we're gonna try and get Wayne Corbett to do a cameo for him. So I'll try to figure out how to facilitate that for sure.
Wait, Wayne Corbett is $100?
I guess so for a cameo. It's probably not like a video, but it's probably like, a clip of, hey, this is Wayne
Yeah.
Corbett. Welcome to Jets Talk. And then bam, $100. So, nice, easy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like those
Dude.
radio ads that you see, like, oh, welcome to K104.
Right.
Kind of
Kevin from The Office is $225.
What?
Corbett needs to be more.
Corbett's definitely more. He should be way more. He's part of the Jets X Factor crew now. I'm a big fan of Wayne Corbett. He's that ball behind me right up there. Wayne Corbett signed ball. Love me Wayne Corbett. So if he'll do it, I'll absolutely pay him $100. No questions asked to get him to do that for Gitmo. Not a question at all. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Dark Soldier. Mutt Viles says, if all 5 edge rushers are on the board at number 4, would I try and trade back with the Giants for 5 and 7? One, they're not going to give up 5 and 7. That would be silly to do, because if all 5 edge rushers are on the board, I mean, I would think a quarterback went at 2, and then maybe you're talking offensive line and Sauce or offensive line and Hamilton in those sort of situations. I think the Giants are going to go O-line at 5, no questions asked, and I think they'd wind up going edge rusher at 7. But I would try to trade back if all 5 are on the board, unless you absolutely covet one of them. I don't think I covet one over any of the other 5 in particular, honestly. Like, even if Hutchinson's there at 4, like, I don't necessarily love him more than I like any of the other guys. It's the same way I felt about 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐫𝐷𝐼. So if all 5 edge rushers are on the board, yes, I would trade down 100%. Not necessarily with the Giants, but I do think that means we're getting a top edge rusher at number 10, because I don't think whoever trades out for 4 would take an edge. I don't think the Giants would take an edge at 5. I don't think the Panthers would take an edge at 6. I think they could take an edge at 7. And then 8 and 9, even if you wind up going all edge, you're still getting one of those guys. Or a choice of 2 of those guys at that point. Green Bean, your thoughts?
I can't believe this Cameo page. What is this madness? Look at
Well,
this.
now I got to look at it. I never thought of it.
Dude, I never even, I can't believe this, man. Dude, you can pay these people to hang out live with you and shit. This is crazy.
Man, I should have been doing that. I wind up reaching out to their emails, and they just tell me to kick rocks.
Yeah. Be like, hey, I just need you for 10 minutes. How much is 10 minutes? You know?
I don't know. It depends who you're asking. It depends if you're asking someone on the corner or if you're asking someone via Cameo. F Monks.
All right. Yeah, let me see, Mutt Viles. If all 5 edge rushers are on the board at 4, I try to trade back with the Giants. Yeah, all right. Maybe.
I don't think the Giants would trade up. Why would they trade up?
I don't know. Maybe they want that one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if all the edge rushers are on the board, why would they trade up? Like, I think they're going for the offensive lineman, and we're not taking an offensive lineman, and I don't think anyone trading up would take an offensive lineman. So they're still getting their top guy at number 5, and if we pass on the edge rusher, I don't think Carolina's taking one, so I think they're going to get the top edge rusher at number 7 then.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. F Monks drops in with the super chat, says, would you take the Saints pick 16 and 19th for our 4th pick? Trade value checks out. Hate to miss out on premium edge, but 3 picks in the top 20 would be enticing. I would say it depends on what happens with the first 3 picks. If you wind up in a situation where the Jets wind up having the best edge rusher on the board at number 4, and there is a team knocking on the door like the Saints who want to give you 2 first-round picks, yes, trade out, because you're going to get, like I just said, Giants are not taking one at 5, Panthers are not taking one at 6. Maybe they go 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're getting the 4th of the edge rushers there. But yeah, look, I think you're going to get a premium edge rusher at 4 or 10, one way or the other, but I'm 100% on board with trading back with the Saints. Green Bean, your thoughts on trading back with the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, let's see. 4 for 16 and 19. I don't know. It's a tough one, man, because clearly having 3 first-round picks is fantastic, and we still have a top 10, so that's interesting, but it all depends. Like, if the player that we really covet, let's say it's 𝐒𝐿𝐫𝐞𝐫𝐢𝐻𝐾, let's say it's Aiden Hutchinson, if they're there, I say just take your player, man. You know what I mean? I'd say take them. Take the guy that you think is going to be the most likely to be a demon for your pass rush and just get it done. If those guys are gone, and the Saints want to jump up, yeah, I'd consider it for sure, man. For sure.
Joe Grana drops in with the $10 super chat. Appreciate it, brother. I didn't see a comment attached to it, but it means a lot all the same. Blade drops in with the super chat, says, hot take, we shouldn't have paid DJ Reed if we're going to draft Sauce. We got to give Hall and Carter a chance. Look, I like signing DJ Reed. I'm 100% on board with signing DJ Reed. But I think it depends how much stock you put into DJ Bieniemy's article about the cornerback position. There was a report early on that said that teams were throwing at Bryce Hall because they knew he wasn't going to intercept the ball. Coaches on the field said after the game, hey, we tried to aim our passes that direction because we weren't afraid of an interception. If that's the case, look, Hall's not a number 2, or at least like teams think he's not a threat. You need at least a threat to intercept the ball to have some type of concern to go that direction. So for me, I think Hall and Reed, while Reed is clearly the number 1, I think Hall is in competition for Reed for a secondary contract, more so than Sauce is for potentially not getting picked. I think if we want Sauce, it doesn't necessarily, like, I don't think Hall or Reed impact the decision to take Sauce the way some people may otherwise think. I really think Reed and Hall are in competition for a second contract, with Hall being the injury second corner as opposed to the full-time second corner potential.
Yeah, but the other piece that you have to consider, that's logical. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And you also have to add to that when you bring Sauce in, you've also removed your potential to get that top edge rusher. Now you have to wait till 10 or whatever it is.
You don't necessarily have to take Sauce at 4. Like, Sauce may be available at 10. There is a situation where that happens. But yeah, I think if you like a lot of the edge rushers, but you don't like a lot of the corners, like, I can see you taking Sauce at 4 and just taking whoever's left at 10. Like, it really depends on how those first 3 picks go. If it goes all 3 edge rushers, then yeah, take your edge rusher at 4 because you got to get that position more than you need the luxury of corner.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, it's like, I'm with you that I don't think Hall or DJ Reed are so good that you can't bring in a great cornerback. At the same time, let's let these guys have year 2 in the system. We don't know what Hall is year 2 in the system. We don't know. He's only had 1 year. You know what I mean? And the whole defense was sloppy. He was the solid point of our defense. He had 10 passes defensed. I mean, he had a good year. He just didn't get the picks. So let's see what he is year 2. We've put 4 draft picks and $11 million in free agency into the cornerback room. I say, let's leave them for a year. We might have them. They might continue to get better and better every year. Michael Carter, Bryce Hall, DJ Reed, and Brandon Echols. We might have them. And let's bolster the pass rush, help those guys out, see if we need a cornerback. If we need one, next year's first goes to a cornerback.
Eric Rivera drops in with the super chat, says KT and Aiden Hutchinson go in the top 3. GW, Garrett Wilson at 4, George Karlaftis at 10. I do not like wide receiver at 4 at all. At all. Like, even if Kayvon Thibodeau and Aiden Hutchinson go in the top 3, if you're taking an edge rusher, or if your plan is to take an edge rusher and a wide receiver, I don't love, just like Green Bean said, I don't like any of the receivers that much more than any of the other players. Like, I value the edge rushers far more than I value the wide receivers, especially in our system anyway. We want to run those 12 personnel sets with the tight ends, and we want to run the ball, play ball control. So I do not want a receiver at 4. I don't care who it is. I would be very upset. I don't want a receiver at 10. I'm kind of with Green Bean on this too. Like, we don't want a receiver in the top 10 because of the value of the depth of the wide receivers in this class. So I would be totally off on Garrett Wilson at 4. I would think that's not a good pick. And I don't think, I don't know. I don't hate George Karlaftis, but if we're taking edge at 10 after taking a receiver at 4, like, I don't love this at all.
Yeah. It seems like you've dropped it a peg. Like, it just seems like we mismanaged it slightly.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it feels like that a little bit. It's like,
Chris,
we might have missed the boat here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Chris drops in with a super chat. He says, do you think Joe Douglas could fleece the Panthers for Robbie Anderson? LMFAO, I'd be for that and then go back from 10, get 15 or 17, somewhere in that realm, and take Jameson Williams. I don't want to trade for Robbie Anderson in a trade down with the Panthers and then take a receiver in the top 20. Like Green Bean and I are already saying, I don't think receiver in the first round is really a great move anyway. And to trade for a receiver in a trade down and still take another receiver in the first round, I think is a poor allocation of resources. And I'm done with Robbie Anderson. It's not that I don't like him. I wanted him a few years ago. I would have kept him. I thought it was the wrong decision to move on from him. But at this point, I don't want him. I think there's other receivers, and I think, rather than double dipping like that, I think that would be a poor choice.
Dude, we were thinking with our hearts. We had no talent. That's why we wanted Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson, like Slago said, he's fast. He's got good hands. He stays healthier than you think. He's not a bad player. But, dude, let's just bring in our guys. Why go backwards? Why do all that shit? Leave Robbie Anderson down there in Carolina to suck with whoever their new quarterback is, like he did again with Sam, and let's just move on. That's my thoughts.
Lefty Glover drops in with super chat, says, did a mock draft trade with the Lions, giving them number 4 in return. Got their 32, 34, 66, and a 2023 first. I took Karlaftis, Lloyd, Watson Hall, and Boye Mafe. Great show. Thoughts? Interesting. Thank you, Glover. I really appreciate it. So he did a mock trade with the Lions, giving them number 4, which means the Lions have 2 and 4. The Jets fall from 4 to get 32, 34, 66, and a 2023 first. It depends which 2023 first. Are we getting the Rams 2023 first? Or are we getting the Lions 2023 first? Because I like the Lions 2023 first a lot more than I like the Rams. Interesting. It's definitely not the direction I thought, and I think there's going to be other options for us where the Jets could get, the Steelers, you get a receiver, and you get some higher picks. But as far as the picks you get, so he's saying Karlaftis at 10, Lloyd at 32, Watson 34, Breece Hall 38, Mafe 66. Is that what I'm getting at? I think. I don't hate the players. The trade's interesting. I don't think I would do it. That's a really far way to fall back. I think 20's kind of like my cap for me, for where I'd like to drop back to. I don't think the Lions can offer me enough, and I don't think that's enough for me to move back that far.
Let's see.
Yeah, so it's basically 32 and 34 are basically 2 first-round picks, plus a first next year. So you're getting almost 3 firsts plus 66. That's a weird trade, right?
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Let's look at some value here. Value.
Pull that up. Where does all this fall?
So what do you say? 32.
So 1800 is pick 4.
Yeah.
So 32, 34.
32 is 590. Okay, what's the next one? 34.
34. Yep.
560.
Then it's 66.
66 is 260.
And then a 2023 first would be equivalent to the first pick in the second round.
In the second round, right, exactly. So 580. All right. So
what's our math work out to? 1800 is what the 4th pick is worth.
Hold on here.
That's all right. You take your time. You do whatever math you got to do over there.
All right, buddy. Here we go. 590 plus 560 plus 260 plus 580 is 1990. So we've made 190 points there.
Interesting.
Which is equivalent to, let's see, 190 is equivalent to a 3rd round pick. So we've gotten pick 80 in value.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of jumping all over. Now, I like the first next year, though. That's the funny thing about the points with next, because I'm with you, right? That's what you do. You do the first pick in the second round.
Yeah, but I think that realistically, that first round pick, regardless of who it is at worst the top pick in the second round. Like realistically,
Right.
if you're taking the Lions first, like
Yeah,
that could
that's a
be a
top
top
10
10 pick. Yeah, that could be a
Yep.
top 10 pick.
So you got to think about it like that, right? It's worth 580 now, but shit,
Yeah.
man. Next year it's worth a first, and it's probably going to be a good one because Detroit sucks the balls.
Yeah, look, as long as it's Detroit's first versus the Rams first, then I would be on board with this trade down. But that's
Oh,
it's interesting
right
because if you're getting
on.
the Rams first, that could be pick 30, 31, 32.
Two.
Like it's not unreasonable to think that's where that could be. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Yeah, man. So I don't know.
Yeah, Young Curto drops in and says, "Will Denzel Mims' ascension happen this year?" Look, if it doesn't happen this year, he's off the team. It's like
Yeah.
I think he needs to show something throughout the preseason for him to even make the roster. Like I don't think he's a lock for being on the week 1 starting roster for the New York Jets. I do think there is enough, especially if we draft a receiver. You're talking in the pecking order. You're talking Michael Carter, both tight ends, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and wide receiver in the draft. That's at least 6 players ahead of Mims. I would be shocked if he made the roster week 1 if he doesn't really wow us in preseason. I think he has to wow us in the preseason for us to hold on to him.
Yeah. All right, I'm sorry. I got to shut this Cameo thing down. I'll look at it later. I can't fucking believe it.
Green Bean's looking all over the place. Who can I get? What do you mean Howard Stern and Ron Jeremy are available for just $100? This is fantastic. Is it Ron Jeremy's face or is it Ron Jeremy's lower face?
Hey, you want to hear something funny? I've hung out with Ron Jeremy.
No. Oh, I can believe it because you and your Uncle Sam stuff.
That's right. I hung out with him at a place called the Rainbow on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood. And I was with other porn stars, and they were talking about how the business. I was in the whole pocket, man. It was the craziest night. I was like, dude, I said like 3 times, I can't believe what I'm witnessing here. This is nuts for me. I can't believe it.
Closest thing I got to meeting a porn star was one of my friends that I went to high school with either roomed or was next door neighbors with a porn star, and I got to see a Snapchat of them being like, "Hey, we're friends." And that was the extent, fully clothed, nothing crazy. But that is the furthest I've been able to get. I prefer that over Ron Jeremy for sure. But it's very interesting that you've got to hang out with these other porn stars. It's a funny story.
It's nuts. I told you about Pornioki, you know. there is a bar. I think it's Wednesday nights in the Valley in LA. Every Wednesday night where porn stars from around the world gather in this one place. It's very private, but they do it every Wednesday, and they all sing karaoke together.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I really like that.
And they literally, look, dude, they literally show each other their buttholes. Like, it's just the craziest loose. It's like, it's like, I was like, what is this? What am I doing here? I can't believe this is real. Fun stuff. Denzel Mims, yes.
Nuts. Ron Jeremy's. Bob Albro drops in the super chat, says, if Hutchinson doesn't go 1, would you give up 4 and 38 to trade up with the Lions to 2 for the 2nd overall pick? No, I would not. I like all the first round or all the top 5 edge rushers enough where I would not trade up for any of them at all. So no, I would not do that. Green Bean, any thoughts on trading up for Hutchinson?
No. It's not. I don't know. It's like, well, look at it like this. Would you rather have Hutchinson or Thibodeau and Devin Lloyd or Thibodeau and Garrett Wilson? Mm-hmm. I got to go with the latter. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm right there with you. F. Monks drops in with a super chat, says, Sims has Watson as the number 2 wide receiver. Him plus Jameson Williams equals scary. Well, he had Jameson Williams as his number 1 wide receiver and Watson as his number 2. So for me, when I'm looking at that, I'm seeing all projection on Watson. Like, he has the talent to be the best wide receiver. He has the talent to be a top 3 receiver. But with him playing with Trey Lance previously, you would have expected him to blow the doors off the competition at that point. And that's where I kind of get hung up on him. So I don't see Watson as the number 2 receiver. I see him at best as number 4. But I would probably say 4, 5, 6 is where I feel comfortable with him. Williams, I do think, is the number 1 wide receiver, even with the ACL tear.
Yeah, and there's a case, man. I think he's the best wide receiver in the class. You know, it's like, again, there's one problem with Jameson Williams. And here's the interesting thing. I want you guys to know something. All you people that only hear that I hate wide receivers, like, I get DMs like, why do you hate wide receivers? Like, I'm like, dude, I don't hate fucking wide receivers, you know? But, like, the Jets haven't taken a first-round level wide receiver, like a first-round wide receiver since Santana Moss, dude. And the last one before that was Keyshawn Johnson. All right? The last one before that, I'm pretty sure, was Al fucking Toon. So I'm with you. I want that first-round caliber, best wide receiver in the class. I want him too. I'm not convinced that this is the year to reach for that. That's my only point. It's like, I hate to see us finally do it, and we get a guy that's second round in every other draft. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'd rather not do that. Like, that's my whole thing. I'd rather go for the blue chips that even if, like, Aiden Hutchinson, if he was in last year's draft, who were the big edge rushers last year? Do you remember? I can't remember for some reason. I think it was like one.
I was gonna say I don't know who it is because the first 3 were quarterbacks. Then it went Pitts. Top edge rusher was it Parsons? I think it was Parsons.
Yeah, it wasn't a strong edge class. Okay, so the first edge rusher, dude. Jesus. Okay.
I think it was Micah Parsons. I don't know if he was considered an edge, but
no, it was Jalen Phillips. At 18,
20s?
he was the first edge rusher taken. Then after him, we had Kwity Paye at 21. Mm-hmm. Then after him, that's when you had Peyton Turner at 28 from the Saints. Then you had Gregory Rousseau from the Bills. I'm so surprised he slid that far, but he did.
Yeah, Sam. He was supposed to be like the top edge last year.
He was the top edge. He was last year's Thibodeau before everybody got into it, right? And so then we had Rousseau, and then we had Owa, from the Ravens at 31, and then we had Joe Tryon. The Bucks wrapped it up with Joe Tryon, who nobody thought was a first-round pick.
I had him at 32, or not 32.
Yeah,
I had him in the third round. I thought the third round was where we were going to get him.
Right.
Because he opted out last year. He didn't play in 2020.
Right. Well, a few of these guys didn't. And, that's the thing with Rousseau, too. That's why Jalen Phillips had such a good year and all that stuff. But but this is the point. Like, so last year, we're not having this same conversation. Mm-hmm. We're talking about, like, if it's the same needs as this year, we're talking about wide receiver up top. And we're talking about 10 being maybe the edge. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to get through to people. Last year, we had guys like we had Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, all these guys. Then you even had Kadarius Toney, but then you had Rashad Bateman. Like, there were a lot of receivers. Like, pick your poison, man. And then this year, while there's, of course, good wide receivers, Garrett Wilson's going to be a good pro. More than likely, Jameson Williams will heal up and be a good pro. And I like a whole bunch of these guys. Drake London, if he's okay, will be a good pro. But it's like they're not the same pound for pound, like bang for your buck. This year, it's edge. So you want to get edge. You want to use the strengths of the draft. Like, think about that, dude. Last year, edge was 18, was the first edge rusher. We had 3 quarterbacks, tight ends, wide receivers, cornerbacks, 3 tackles were taken, linebackers, all taken before edge. Let me see. 1, 2, 3 offensive tackles were taken before edge. 3 cornerbacks. A guard was taken before edge. We took them. 4 quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's a crazy draft. Like, last year was not a strong edge draft. This year is.
No,
play to the strengths of the draft, dude. I'm right there with you. Chris Mazer drops in with the super chat, says, LOL, I still want to trade back between 15 and 17 and take Jameson Williams. He reminds me of CeeDee Lamb. That's a really good player comparison. I love CeeDee Lamb. I really like Jameson Williams. Something about the two of them, they get good yak. He says, that's just my opinion, though. I think his talent is too good to pass on. I'm not scared of his injury. I think teams are not afraid of the ACL. I really don't. And I think if you want to take, Jameson Williams, I would have taken CeeDee Lamb at 11. So CeeDee Lamb, a clone of him at number 10, yeah, I'm fine with it. Yeah, he's got the ACL injury, but if you're okay with the ACL, take the best receiver in the draft. If you could trade down and get him at 15 or 17 and pick up extra picks, yeah, green light. I'm all about it.
Yeah. Yeah, totally, man. I'm with you too.
NY Lozo drops in with a super chat. Thank you, brother. I don't see a question attached to it, but it means a lot all the same. Drew drops in with a super chat, says KT at 4, Wilson at 10, Nakobe Dean in a trade up with Watson at 35. So he's saying we're trading pick 38, and maybe it's 69 or something along those lines to get Dean in the first. So if I get my edge rusher, I get my receiver at 10, I get a linebacker, and then another receiver at 35. I don't like it. And I think Green Bean probably will be about the same wavelength. I don't think we like double dipping at wide receiver. And if you want to take Wilson at 10, don't take Watson at 35. If you want Watson, take him at 35 or trade up for him, whatever it is. Take the next best linebacker at 35 instead of whatever. But I don't think you double dip at receiver with two of our top 4 picks. I don't think you double dip at receiver at all, to be perfectly honest. Edge rusher is the only position this year that I would double dip on, and it would be top 10, and it would probably be 3rd or later for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, and if the Jets do, am I going to be upset by it? No. It's the same thing. Like, what if they decided to grab Linderbaum at 10? Mm-hmm. Am I going to be upset with it? No, I'm going to be like, okay, I see what they're doing. They're going to push Connor McGovern off this team. If it's not this year, it's next year. The guy's going to be here. They don't want any drop off. And and I get it. I get it. Now, would it be what I did? No, but I get it. So, if they decided to go Garrett Wilson at 10 or, KT at 4, Wilson at 10, and then go ahead and get Christian Watson at 35, I don't see that, but okay. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay. You're making sure that Zach Wilson has his weapons, so I support it. I'm with it. I get it. It still makes sense. That's all I'm really looking for. There were years past, right? And dude, we would watch McCagnon trade three second-round picks to move up in the first, draft a quarterback, and then take a small school 25-year-old defensive tackle. Then he takes a tight end. Then he takes another defensive tackle. Then he takes a running back. And it's a 5th round. What the fuck is this? What is this supposed to accomplish? I don't understand what this draft is. And he did that every year. It's what is our goal? Who are we? What are we trying to accomplish? So all I want to see from Joe Douglas, last year with the cornerbacks at the end of the draft, man. It was okay, these might not be the guys we were looking at, but we need cornerbacks. We only had Blesson Austin under contract. So I was they rebuilt the cornerback room in the back end of that draft. And I understood it. Okay, I get it. It makes sense. And that's what we want to see.
Lefty Glover drops in with a super chat. Thank you, brother. Says, if it was the Lions 2023 first in my mock trade I did. So, yeah, okay, I'm a little bit more involved with that. Just to kind of remind us on what that was. It was... he gave up number 4 for pick 32, 34, 66, and the Lions' first-round pick. That's definitely more interesting because you essentially get 3 first-round picks. You get the 2023 first, you get 32, and then you get 34, which is the second pick in the second round. So, yeah, I don't love it, but I don't hate it by any stretch. 10 Diamonds drops in with a super chat, says, what do y'all think about getting someone like Sammy Watkins out of free agency to fill in that Keelan Cole role and obviously still draft a wide receiver? I think it would depend what Watkins is asking for contract-wise. Can you get him on a 1-year, $10 million deal, something along those lines, and then draft your receiver? I'm okay with that. I don't want to devote a ton of resources to a veteran receiver or more than 1 year in conjunction with double dipping. I shouldn't say double dipping, but with drafting a receiver. Like for me, the Brandon Cooks, Amari Cooper 1 year rental was valuable in conjunction with the wide receiver because I think there's no lag period in learning, and Zach Wilson gets to have the full complement of receivers. With Watkins, as long as you get him on a 1 year deal and then draft a receiver, I'm okay with it, but I think you might have to give him more than a 1 year deal. But I'm also concerned about his injuries too. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't like it. Watkins, like every year, he's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna play. I don't know, and you know what I mean. He does that whole thing. I don't know. I think just bring in a rook, bring in a top 2 round rook. You got Corey Davis, you got Elijah Moore, you got Braxton Berrios, you got Denzel Mims, you got the rook, you got Jeff Smith to back him up. You know what I mean? And then we got the 12 personnel situation. We bring in a new running back. You got 2 good running backs. You got 3 good tight ends, 4 good tight ends, and we're off and running. I don't know. I think if you're going to bring in Watkins is better than Cole. I don't think that can be argued too passionately. But I don't really love Watkins anymore. I wouldn't want to see us do that.
Multivitamins drops in with Super Chat, says, we are in for every wide receiver. Why not trade for Cooper Kupp? Why would they trade Cooper Kupp, the best receiver in football, or at least like a top 5 receiver in football? But if we could, yeah, sure, why not? Mud Files, let's fucking go for it. Why the hell not? NY Lozo drops in with Super Chat, says, I say we get our offensive linemen. We get our offensive linemen we like, take our edge and wait for Jameson Williams to fall to us. And are you guys really sold on Zach Wilson? So let's break this down. I don't want offensive linemen in the top 10. If we do, I think it severely devalues Becton or Fant. I think if you take an offensive lineman a little later and he develops into a starter that can supplant Becton or Fant, it doesn't lower their value as much. So I am off on the wide receiver, or off on the offensive lineman, at least in the first round. Waiting for Jameson Williams, he's not making it out of the first round, so you're going to have to trade up for him or trade down and get him. I would be very, very surprised if he was there at 35.
Yeah, I could see it, but I would be surprised too, just to say that. I could see it, though.
Yeah. Am I sold on Zach Wilson? Look, I'm not sold on him yet. I think he has all the talent in the world. So in a stacked AFC where you have Herbert, Mahomes, Wilson, Watson, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Burrow, when you have that style, Derek Carr, like you got a lot of guys in this conference that are top end for sure. For me, I think Zach Wilson has the talent to be a top 3 quarterback in this conference. Do I believe he's going to be that? Look, I think the jury's still out on it for sure. Am I sold on him? Look, I'm not giving up on Zach Wilson after this year. Nope. I would bring in veteran competition if he stunk this year, but I think he gets the next 2 years for sure. I think that's what you have to devote to a number 2 overall pick, and I think he's got all the talent, so you just give him a little bit of time. Josh Allen didn't explode until his 3rd year.
Right. Josh Allen's right. And they built around him. They developed him. They built around him. The first year, what they did was they went out and got him offensive linemen. That's what they did. They got Mitch Morse, Cody Ford. They brought in a few other guys, I forget. But they went out. They said, let's protect our boy. They gave him a running back. They actually brought in 2 wide receivers. They brought in Beasley and Brown, right. So they did bring in 2 quality wide receivers for him. The next year they made the big trade for Diggs, and that paid dividends, but he was ready for it. He was ready. Like they had the running back. It was his 3rd year in the offense. It was, his line was gelled, like they were still moving pieces around, but they had guys that were in the system for 2-3 years now. And dude, don't forget, Buffalo has kept their team together for 5 years. Their defense, in large part, has been together. This will be their 6th straight year in that system. That's what we need to do. We need to bring guys in. Stop pushing guys off the first fucking 10 seconds of adversity. Cut him. He sucks. He's trash. He's fat. He's lick. Settle down. Let's support our guys. Let's get good. Let's keep the core together. And let's get comfortable and start kicking people's asses. Then we can add pieces. That's what we got to do. That's the goal.
Luigi, brothers to Mario. Thank you for the super chat. Says, why not draft Sauce at 4, knowing how many defensive ends that may fall? Same goes for Hamilton at 10. So that's kind of the thought process for me, where if you value all the top 5 edge rushers, similarly to how I think about it, as all on a similar plane, maybe plus or minus a pick or whatever, but I do think they're all sort of in that realm. They're all good enough to be our second edge rusher or our number 1 edge rusher. If you get to number 4, and let's say the quarterback in Willis went off the board at 2, I think that's the only way all the edge rushers are there at 4. But let's say all 5 are there. Now the Jets go Sauce at 4. Now you have to go past picks 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 5 picks to hope an edge rusher doesn't go. Giants are taking O-line, so I'm not worried about that. Panthers are taking O-line or quarterback, most likely. I don't see them going edge rusher, either one of those. So you got the Giants at 7. You got the Falcons at 8, who might go wide receiver. And you got the Seahawks that may wind up going cornerback because we took DJ Reed away from them. Or they might go offensive tackle. Like there's a few different options there. So I do think in the situation where the Jets have all the edge rushers available at 4, I think they're going to have 2 or 3 available to them at 10 if they wait. So I'm okay with that and going your best player available, assuming there's no trade out at 4. And if that's Sauce, if that's Hamilton, if that's, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of probably the only directions I'd wind up going, but I'm okay with passing on edge at 4 if all of them are available at 4.
Yeah. I mean, look, like we've said, we've said this a few times, Luigi. I'll say it again. I just think we put a lot of resources into the cornerback position. Now, granted, not first-round resources, but resources nonetheless. We have a nice young cornerback room. Let's see what they got year 2, and in the system, and let's focus elsewhere. Let's help them out by giving them a legit pass rush, and then if they don't work, we know next year we can replace one or whatever we need to do.
10 Diamonds drops in with the super chat. It says, my idea with Watkins was a 1-year deal. He has a lot of upside, I think. He's 28 years old. He averages 15 yards a catch. I know the injuries are scary, but you can't go wrong with a 1-year prove-it deal, in my opinion. As long as it's a 1-year prove-it deal and you can still draft your receiver in the second round, I'm okay with that because I do like the value that Sammy Watkins provides, but his injuries are more of a concern for me than some of the injuries to the younger wide receivers in this draft. Green Bean, how are you feeling about Sammy Watkins and his injuries?
Well, that's the thing with me is I'm with you. It's like he's only 28. He's not 33. So right, we get that, but he feels older and for good reason. Like he has the injuries. He's also had 2 separate off seasons where he questioned coming back. Like he didn't know if he wanted to come back. And like I'm of the thought, 10 Diamonds, that we should be bringing guys in that have the potential to stay with Zach for a while, not just filling spots for a year. Like that's what we were doing, when we were kind of piecing it together, starting it up, getting rid of guys, kind of cleaning it up. Like we know who our quarterback is. He's going into year 2. Whoever we bring in, I want to see them with Zach for a few years. I want them to have the time and opportunity to develop that chemistry. You know what I mean? Like that's what we want. We don't want to switch pieces every now and again or every single year. Like, all right, last year we had Keelan Cole and Jamison Crowder. Now Zach got comfortable with them. They're gone. Now we bring in Sammy Watkins on a 1-year deal. Now he's gone. Like we want to do the best job we can to give Zach pieces that he's going to be with for years, which is why I like Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, I hope. And we bring in a nice rook, the tight ends, Michael Carter. Like I want him to have his people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair for sure. Let's see. We got RJ McPot drops in with a super chat. He says, not to create nightmare fuel, but who is this year's Josh Allen and who is this year's Sam Darnold with defensive ends? Interesting. I'm going to say this year's Sam Darnold is Aiden Hutchinson. He has 1 year of elite production, and it was when 𝐒𝐫𝐲 wound up coming in with him. I think there is a thought that he is the top edge rusher, the same way Sam was the top quarterback in that draft, but he may not end up being the top edge rusher. So I will say Aiden Hutchinson could be the Sam Darnold, and I do think that Trayvon Walker, based on projection, could be the Josh Allen, where Josh Allen didn't have the production in college, but his projection was absolutely elite. So Josh Allen equals Trayvon Walker, Sam Darnold equals Aiden Hutchinson in my mind. Green Bean, how would you relate that?
I see it exactly the opposite.
Really?
Okay. I think Aiden Hutchinson, if he would have come out the year before, he would have at least been a second-round pick. He had already had the production. Now, it wasn't elite production, like you said, and I'm sure 𝐒𝐵𝐲 helped with that. But what I think we watched was a guy developing, was a guy getting better. You know, he was improving, he was growing, he was learning, he was, you know, the whole thing. That's what I see. I see a guy who came into his own this year, and he has uptrending production to support that. Now, Trayvon Walker, on the other hand, I think is Sam Darnold. I think he's flashy. I think he's very athletic. But I'm telling you, when I watch his tape, I see his first move fail, and he does that thing where he tries to he just sits back. You know, how many times have you watched our edge rushers run into a lineman and stand there, and then they try to get a hand up? That's what I think Trayvon Walker is. Now he's got the athleticism. If he's developed right, you know, maybe. I see him as the guy that I'm going to be disappointed with. I also worry a little bit about Jermaine Johnson too, but I like him more. I think Hutchinson and Thibodeau are the real deal, and I think Karlaftis is the real deal.
So just so you guys know, in the 3 years prior to this year, Aiden Hutchinson had a total of 3.5 sacks. This year he had 14, playing opposite another elite edge rusher in 𝐒𝐵𝐲. So I think there's legitimate concern there for sure, but I do think he has a lot of talent. So it's going to be interesting.
What's the rest of his stats the year before? The rest of his stats.
So he only played in 2 games. So he only played in 2 games last year. So 7 games his freshman year, no sacks, 1 tackle for a loss, 12 total tackles. His sophomore year, 69 total tackles, so more than last year for him in 1 less game. And he had 3.5 sacks his sophomore year. His junior year, he played in 2 games and got no sacks, no tackles for a loss, had 13 tackles total. This year, 16.5 tackles for a loss, 14 sacks. So definitely his best season by a large margin. I think there's concern there. Like I can understand people not being, you know, fully on board with Hutchinson.
The only thing that concerns me is the 2-point stance stuff. That's it.
Okay.
Like I said, what I look at there is a guy who's coming up. That's what I look at. You know what I mean? Is a guy who's coming up. His senior season, he was an absolute animal. And because you saw it the year before when I was watching his tape, I was watching his tape for the previous year. I already saw it. I was thinking this fucking guy is going to be good. This guy's going to be good. I thought he was going to come out last year, and I thought he was probably going to be a second, maybe a third round pick. So he made the right move staying in college, obviously. But what I saw, I already recognized that when he chose to stay back in school. I was telling everybody last year that guy's going to be good this next year. So I happen to like him. I'm with you. I see what you're saying. I like him, though.
So Hebrew Polymath drops in and he says, so wait, only one position can have one good season. What about Stingley? Madness, a winner, by the way. The difference is Aiden Hutchinson ended on his best year, where Stingley started on his best year and then has been injured since. So that's where my thought process differs on him. Knifey Spoony drops him a super chat, says, do we draft tight end late or give 𝐒𝐵𝐲 a shot at tight end 3? I would still draft a tight end. I would go after someone like a Jeremy Ruckert, someone like a Charlie Kolar, and I would say 4th round and later is where I'm looking for a tight end, because I think there's a lot of value in tight end in that, you know, sort of realm, 4th, 5th round. Green Bean, how are you feeling about the tight end position? Where you want to take one, and do you think that 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞𝐳 ends up at tight end 3. You are all bluish green right now, which I think is adorable, and that's okay.
The lights are hurting my eyes. We're in the bright lights for a long time tonight.
I know. Let's try to rip through these.
I had to settle the light down. Well, I think that Kenny 𝐒𝐫𝐞𝐞 is tight end 3, and we draft one, and we keep 4 because we want to do all sorts of fun tight end stuff. This is going to be a tight end offense, and I think having more than one behind your 2 starters is prudent and beneficial. So I think Kenny 𝐒𝐶 is going to be fine. I like him. He developed perfectly last year. Nice, smooth, upward trajectory. Last couple games of the year, got a couple receptions, playing in the offense, did some nice blocking. Really, really nice stuff. So I think he is tight end 3, and but he should have competition. And we should draft a rookie, Ruckert, Ferguson, Cole, Turner, any of these guys. There's so many nice tight ends in this year, especially if they're not coming in to start right away. I think you can get some real gems this year.
Sorless67 celebrates 15 months of membership. Thank you so much. He gets a free super chat for each month that he winds up being a member here. He says, do you think a DK trade involves a swap of picks 4 and 9? That's my favorite way of going about this trade. If you can swap 4 for 9 and give them a second-round pick, either one, I don't care, to get DK, and then you wind up with 9 and 10, 100% I'm all in on it, and I think most people would probably be in on that because Green Bean and I are of the opinion you should take a wide receiver in the second, so if you're giving up a second and still holding on to 2 top 10 picks, I think it's the right move. Chris Mazer drops in with a super chat, says, did a 3-round mock fast. This is what I got. 10 for picks 16, 49, 120, 194. He got Kayvon Thibodeau at 4, Jamison Williams 16, Jaquan Brisker at 35, Jalen Petrie at 38, Chad Muma 49, Perrion Winfrey at 69. I don't like this because I don't like going safety at 35 and 38. I would rather go with, I guess you get Muma at linebacker there. I don't hate it by any stretch of the imagination. I like that we get our edge rusher, we get our wide receiver, then we go 2 safeties, a linebacker, and an interior defensive lineman. Look, we have Whitehead, who's going on he's got a 2-year contract with us realistically, and then you got LaMarcus Joyner. So is there a situation where we draft 2 safeties? I guess it's possible. I'm not really hoping for it, I'll be honest.
Got to get at least one in this strong safety class. I wouldn't be against taking 2. But they did bring in a safety in free agency. Like, look, we re-signed LaMarcus Joyner, who I don't have any expectations for. I hope he's great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not counting on him. Ashton Davis is coming into year 3, second year in the system. Let's see how he does. But bringing in Jordan Whitehead, he's more of a strong safety, right? So we need a free safety. I think we have to draft one. Have to. And I wouldn't be surprised if they took another swing at a late round one. But probably not.
Let's see. We got Joseph Sigmore drops in the super chat. Says, concerned if we trade for A.J. Brown. Guy is made of glass, a lot of injuries. We will end up giving up picks, a lot of money just for a guy to be on IR. So Jets. Well, you have to make sure he's going to be healthy. And how do his injuries in the past relate to potentially future injuries in the future? Are they all soft tissue guys? Does he seem like he's soft, or are they kind of freak injuries? Like Carl Lawson kind of had freak injuries happen to him. I believe it was both knees in the ACL and then an Achilles, like totally out of left field. So I like A.J. Brown. I wouldn't give up number 10, but I would give up some, the seconds, a third, somewhere along those lines to wind up bringing him in because I do think he is really good. But look, there's thoughts of the injuries, and Green Bean brought it up earlier today. I like A.J. Brown. I wouldn't be afraid to trade for him, but if we don't, I'm fine with a second-round wide receiver as well. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Yeah, and the A.J. Brown thing is funny and I tried to tell everybody the day it came out. I made a whole thing, live stream video, said, guys, this is Cimini saying, this is the whole source. Cimini said, hey, keep an eye on A.J. Brown. He's friends with Elijah Moore. Like, that's it. That's all it was. So, and then, the Titans released the thing today, probably because Jets fans were bombarding them so much They had to put out a statement. They said, we are not accepting calls on A.J. Brown. That said, yeah, sure, I'd love to have A.J. Brown on the team, but guess where he was taken? Second round.
Second round.
That's right, everybody.
David Gerard drops in the super chat, says 4 and 38 for Chase Young and 11. Yes, all day. 100%. I would do that. No questions asked. I think Chase Young is far better than any edge rusher in this class. And if you're telling me I can have number 10 and number 11 and Chase Young, and then I can wind up going whatever direction I want at 10 and 11, yes, 100% I'm all about it. Green Bean, your thoughts?
Let's see here. It's 4 plus 38 for, yeah, I do that.
Oh,
Chase Young and number 11? Sure. So that's essentially trading the way because you're not losing a pick in the first. You go down a couple spots, you would have wanted your edge rusher, and you only lost a pick for Chase Young? Shit.
Done. Yeah, easy decision for me.
Yeah,
Luigi drops in with a super chat. He says, Green Bean, I'd rather draft the most talented player. Why reach? Defensive ends and wide receiver will be there in round 2. I don't agree with defensive ends. There will be defensive ends, but I think the top guys are in the top 10, 100%. Wide receiver, yes, I agree with you, but not defensive end.
Right. That's exactly my thought. Like I agree with your statement and your sentiment, and I agree with the wide receiver piece. Defensive ends, I think the drop off is severe from the top to the second round. It's a whole different class. So I wouldn't do that.
The NY Bully drops in, celebrating 15 months of membership. Thank you, brother. He gets a free super chat for being a member of the channel. He says, if we go linebacker in the first round, would you consider Devin Lloyd a better option than Nakobe Dean for his coverage ability? Also, congrats on being a first-time dad. Thank you, NY Bully. I'm really excited. Baby girl due June 11th. I can't wait for it.
Nice.
I'm going to ruin this girl's life by making her a Jet fan. And it's okay, because maybe she will see a far more improved team than I got to see through the first 32 years of my life. But would I go Devin Lloyd or Nakobe Dean? I love Nakobe Dean. I like Devin Lloyd. I would have no problem with either one. But Nakobe Dean just has a violence to him that I think is just so impressive. The way he shook his teammate, I think it was in the playoffs, when he was like, hey, you didn't make the play. I'm going to run over there and make the play, and then you're going to figure it the fuck out. Like, I like Nakobe Dean a lot. Like, he is my top linebacker. Devin Lloyd would be number 2 for me. No problems with either one, but Dean would be my preference over Lloyd.
Yeah, I think Dean fits Saleh better. Like, that's just what I think. I happen to like Devin Lloyd just as much as I like Nakobe Dean. I like them both. I really do. But I think Saleh has a type. And if you look at his type, Nakobe Dean fits it. It's like, it looks like a match made in heaven to me. So if we do go linebacker, I think we'd grab Nakobe Dean, and I would applaud it. And we'd need to do it in the first for sure. But yeah, I'd applaud it.
All right, we have finally hit the end of our stream, and I've got to go to the bathroom.
Oh my God! Don't
way.
say it isn't so. Yeah, you want to hear something
I know.
funny? Let me tell you something real quick. I want to tell you guys something. So you guys know I'm in my RV still, and I'm parked at someone's house. So we have our RV, and we're like in a driveway. They have a lot of land, and we're behind the house. But there's a dump. Like, we could take our hoses and dump it into this pipe that they have. And we realized yesterday when we were going to dump our tanks that for whatever reason, I parked too far away. So I can't dump. So both of my tanks are completely full. So I can't even go to the bathroom in here tonight. I have to move
full.
Dude, I can't even do it. I gotta go in the house. Like, it's like midnight. I gotta walk in their house. Oh, it sucks. So that's what I'm dealing with. You're gonna walk out that door right there and go take a leak.
Yep.
I gotta put on shoes.
Oh, that's brutal. Chris Mazer drops in with a super chat at the end. He says 1,153 of Jalen Petre's snaps were at slot corner. Look, that could be an issue. It really could, but potentially maybe not an issue with us playing him at safety in the Senior Bowl. So we'll have to see and go from there. So Green Bean, you have a list of people. I'm going to go to last week's Talkin' Jets panel, and I'm going to pick 5 people.
All right. You got to tell me how to do this end, though. I never did this end.
So it's odds or evens. So the way you do odds or evens is you have your list of people. If it's an odd, you'll scratch off every other name, starting from the top. If it's an even, you're going to skip the first name that's not scratched, and then go every other name from there. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's nothing too crazy.
Starts with 1 and 2. I got you. Got it.
Exactly. All right, let's see who we got in terms of comments for last week's stream. Let's see, how many are in here? Okay, so I'm going to give you a few names. You let me know when you have them written down.
I'm ready.
We're gonna go.
Oh, you're gonna give me names. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you 5 names. So we're gonna say Eric Jacobson.
Choose the short ones. Okay. I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. We're gonna go with just Richard. You know, it's only one word, Richard.
Okay. Just.
Not just. It's literally Richard. That's it.
Richard. Okay.
Yeah.
Richard. Got it.
Let's go with Matt McCormick.
Matt. MC or MAC?
McCormick.
Okay. MCC. Got it.
We're going to go with Steve Wiren, Wiren.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to go, let's see, just scrolling down a little bit. Let's go with let's go with Mark Crooks. MARK space CROOKS.
Okay. All right, let's do it.
All right. Let's do some odds and evens. When we get down to like the final 3 or so, then we'll ask for the chat's number as well. So, ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, we got some odds. Go to the other
page. Hold on, I got to go. What did you put up?
I had 2, so we're going odds.
Okay. All right, so start with the first one.
Start with the first one and scribble them all off.
Jeremy's gone.
Oh, no.
Friggle D is gone. Pete DeTraglia is gone. Paris is gone. 𝐒𝐫𝐲 is gone.
Oh.
Commander Cool is gone. Hebrew Polymath is gone. There goes Richard. There goes Steven. And that's it. Okay, let's do it again.
All right, 3, 2, 1. That's an odd.
The odds. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's fun scribbling names off, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do it again.
All right.
Wait, let me see how many I have. Here, wait. 1, 2, 3. I got 4 left.
All right.
5. 4.
All right. So we'll do an odds or evens, and then it'll be the chat one. So 3, 2, 1.
Okay, odds. Odds all night.
All right, so chat, give us a number. First number up will be the third number that we add to our number. So Green Bean, 3, 2, 1. So we got a 7 plus, let's see who pops up, plus a 2. 7 plus a 2, we got a 9.
Okay, we got a 9. That's odds.
Yep.
All right,
So
Eric Jacobson. Eric Jacobson wins. Yeah.
Eric, you are a winner for tonight's t-shirt giveaway. Reach out to me on social media, whether it be through Gmail or Facebook or Instagram, something along those lines. Let me get your information so I can send you a shirt. Gitmo Bob, you better feel better. We want you back here ASAP. We're going to send you a shirt. We got a few things planned for you. Jeremy, I see you in the chat. Reach out to me via email. Let me know Gitmo's information so that way we can send him something good. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Green Bean, any last thoughts for our panel?
This was crazy, man. This is almost 4 hours of this, so I hope you guys are grateful.
I'm
You guys are the
exhausted.
best. Yeah, I know. I'm spent. I'm really spent. But it was a good time, man. We still got over 400 of you crazy bastards in here with us, so that's why we're still here. Yeah, we got the Thursday thick of it on Thursday with Frankie from Flatbush, Y2K, Jeremy. We all hang out there. 8 p.m. on Thursday nights, Green Bean Jets fan, and I just passed 6,000 subs. So if you haven't subbed over there, where it's a fucking get over there and hang out and sub, and we'll have a good time.
Boys and girls, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. We'll be back here live next Tuesday, 8 o'clock to hopefully 10 o'clock, not 11:42. But guys, it's been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. My name's Ryan. This is Jets Talk signing off. JETS!